What is going on, everybody? It is episode 823 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my co-host for the day. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is not Mary.
Not that's the pitch today. Not Mary.
And I'm not a woman.
That is 110% true. Actually, when he came in today, he's like, "Where am I sitting?" I'm like, "Over here." And Mary goes, "Okay, so I'm a short woman today." And I said yes.
I'm pale too. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary.
Indeed. And back to my right today.
Hi, I'm a producer here at Simcast. My name's Tate. I don't think I'm a woman, but I need to watch the Matt Walsh documentary to really iron this out, I think.
I have faith.
Check it out. Yeah. Good to have you back, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Dude, we had so he was on for his first episode last week, and look, when you put people into the podcast environment, you never know if they're going to sink or swim. It sounds simple to be like, just go talk, right, but that's not always what happens.
No,
like sometimes it's like there's like a skill set to it, and you just came in and you spoke.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Did you get your work done today before? I don't know if I was monopolizing your time.
Oh,
before.
No. I have so much to do. Actually, I ignored it all.
You just turned notifications off.
Yeah,
well, Tim's
I love
in
the
DC.
show.
Yeah,
you have the opportunity. Like, bosses in
Tim's
here.
in DC. Oh, it's a day off. Okay,
well,
I can do the show.
Originally, I asked Kellen last week. I was like, "Are you going to be? Can you do the show next week?" He goes, "No, we're going to be in DC." I'm like, "Oh, doing what?" He's like, "Oh, interview this, and that." I'm like, "Okay, well then we got you that week."
Worked out.
So, what were they doing in DC? They were interviewing Kristi Noem?
No, they were actually in the White House press briefing.
Okay, what was the? I thought I saw Tim doing an interview.
They were schmoozing.
Oh, they were.
Oh, was he? He was doing an interview as well.
They were schmoozing.
Good for him.
Okay.
Hey, not that John Stewart has a super chat for $20.
Yes.
I just got off work. Let's go, boys. Yes.
There's so much testosterone in this room right
there
now.
Really is. There really is.
It's like we're just gonna go change the car's oil. We're gonna go fix flat tires.
My car doesn't have oil.
I was thinking we should jump from like cliffs and like maybe cook some strange meats.
We could do that.
Yeah,
we got that. All right.
I like cooking.
We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys. But before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Also, after this episode today, I do request that you go and check out. I was planning the show today, and I will get to that 20 Weary Traveler. Have no fear. I was planning the show today, and I decided to go off on this weird side quest where I watched and compared, contrasted, and reviewed the brand new I Know What You Did Last Summer Legacy Revival trailer, which includes the characters, at least some of the characters from the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I compared it to the 1997 trailer and gave my thoughts on it. I probably should have been prepping the show, but I got sidetracked and started making that video. So that video is
the cuff stuff. That stuff is good.
Yeah.
I think people appreciate that.
You guys can go and check that out after today's episode. I do humbly request that you go do so. Weary Traveler says, "Bro show, let's go." Yeah, man. Boys.
Yes, let's go.
So what are we getting into today? Kanye West is in the news, and that's about the most I can tell you right now because the headline is so freaking weird and gross that I don't even know what to say, but we are going to get into it. I put out a tweet this morning that said, like, me trying to figure out how to make a thumbnail that's not going to get me demonetized and deported by the U.S. government.
With Kanye, can you actually do that anymore? I mean, Kanye's entire brand is just like shock jock now.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it. And I mentioned this too because I don't remember what we were covering like a couple weeks ago, but I used the I word in the thumbnail, and that video just sat in queue.
Insane?
No, incest.
Oh.
I don't remember what we were covering, but like I put it in the thumbnail.
Family special friend.
Yeah, and YouTube didn't delete it. They didn't like ding me. It just sat in queue, even though I processed it all the way through. And like I couldn't do anything to it. It wouldn't let me.
Just a queue of shame.
Yeah, it's like you're not putting this shit out.
Yeah, look what you did.
Oh, we were talking about White Lotus. That's what we were talking about. So we're going to talk about Kanye West. We are also going to talk about these new articles that have been written that say that influencers are fueling a rise of misogyny in, I guess, British schools, but I'm guessing that they would say all over the world.
Not influencers.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about it. Also, we are going to talk about, so celebrities are still making it their bag to promote their movies by dunking on Donald Trump. In this case, we're going to talk about Sebastian Stan's recent comments, even though he should be out promoting Thunderbolts, and Bella Ramsey's recent comments, despite the fact that she should be out trying to trick people into watching Last of Us Season 2, especially after that episode last night. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you guys are ready, we'll just get started. Are you ready, Phil?
Let's go.
Okay. He's a little late there. You ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's get started then. All right, so first things first, guys. This one's going to be a bit info heavy, so let's get into it. If you don't know who Shannon Sharpe is a legendary NFL Hall of Famer, also the host of Club Shay Shay, which is huge on YouTube. If you remember, like last year, he had this viral Cat Williams interview that did huge numbers, I think like 90 million views. And when people bring up the topic of the left needing a Joe Rogan, that was actually the first name that came to mind for me if they were looking for somebody like that. He just was about to sign a $100 million deal for his podcast with the Volume Network, and now he is facing a $50 million lawsuit for assault, sexual assault, and sexual battery.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. says, "Sorry, hold please, not sorry."
I can't hold. We got to keep going. So, okay, so let's go through this here. So this lawsuit has been filed by Tony Busby. If you don't know who Tony Busby is, if you've been following the Diddy lawsuits as well as the Jay-Z lawsuit that went viral a couple of months ago, it's the same lawyer filing class action lawsuits on behalf of tons of people. And what he says is that this happened during what he calls a rocky consensual relationship between the end of 2024 and the start of 2025 with the Jane Doe. There is no actual name listed for the person who's accusing him of this and suing him for $50 million, saying that he threatened to kill her and threatened to choke and slap her, and claims that he recorded sexual acts between them without her consent and then shared them with other people without her consent. What's crazy about that is he actually got like in trouble last year for accidentally live streaming. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Having sex with like a different woman, apparently not this woman. And it's not the woman from that live stream. And he, of course, denies all allegations. So I'm just going to read through a little bit this first. And it says, Sharpe denied all allegations of coercion or misconduct in a statement through his counsel to the Post on Monday. I'm going to read you the statement from the counsel. And then he also put out his own like video statement today. So it says, one time specifically, he was yelling at her while there was a firearm visible in his room. The complaint states, terrified for her safety, the plaintiff tried sharing her location with friends from her iPhone, but Sharpe saw her doing this. The moment he realized what she was doing, he grabbed her by the neck and told her, if you ever do that again, I will effing kill you. So that's what they're claiming he did. Does this shock anyone at all?
Well, I mean, I have no context about him personally, so I can't say that.
Does the timing seem suspicious?
Preconceived notion or anything like
Does
that?
the timing seem suspicious with the announcement of a $100 million contract deal? Look, I'm going to play you the audio. They've already released the audio of him threatening to choke her.
So there's audio of it?
There's audio of it. That's a foregone conclusion. We're going to listen to it. But what his lawyers are saying is that it's missing.
It's just that they're like, oh, I've got this. Yeah. Why don't I turn this audio into a big stack of cash?
Yeah.
Well, and I've been a loyal ESPN watcher for many, many years, and I'm a Skip Bayless loyalist, so this didn't surprise me whatsoever.
Not one bit?
Nope, not
All right, so let's listen to what the accuser, this was what they released today. We're going to listen to this tape here.
I don't know. Anything I say, you're just going to, like, get mad at, and you're just going to hang up on me, so I feel like...
I'm not going to hang up on you. Here's what it is.
What does that even mean?
Nothing, Gabby. You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to fucking choke the shit out of you when I see you.
I mean.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wait for it.
Well,
Really?
Yep.
I don't...
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
I'm letting it play through.
Okay. So like. Okay, so first of all, Collis L. Bryant says, Last of Us 2 spoiler in the game, Diana finds she's pregnant while hunting for Abby. If kept in the show, any chance Ellie briefly puts aside beef with Abby so Diana can get treatment for abortion, female empowerment, and all that.
Yeah.
I have no idea about any of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there.
And then, so look, that is clearly suboptimal.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100%, like, a threat like that, I mean, like I said, it's suboptimal, but it's not like he actually put hands on her. Now, are there allegations that he touched her?
Yes. So,
Okay.
I mean, these are allegations of sexual assault and sexual battery.
Okay.
So beyond
is there any evidence of that?
I mean, it's like with these cases, as we always talk, the hardest thing about covering Me Too cases is unless there is a rape kit of some sort or a video. I mean, one of the reasons why the Diddy case kind of got that air of finality around it was the video of him abusing Cassie in the hallway, which was awful. And that colored a lot of people's opinions, rightfully so, of the type of character he possessed. I don't know how much actual evidence there is other than like truckloads of baby oil of like what he actually did. But that video is going to show people what they, what his character truly is. In this case, outside of there being a rape kit or anything like that, there isn't going to be evidence for that. And he's calling this a shakedown.
Yeah. I mean, look, regardless of how someone feels about this guy or the situation, unless there's evidence, he might decide to be like, here's $1 million, go away.
Well, no, the thing is, I think like he already released a statement saying that he's fighting it.
Okay, well,
like if he was going to do that, he would have done it right away.
Yeah.
And he would have tried to get this out of the news cycle as quickly as possible. So let's listen to his statement here. The volume might be a little bit low.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about, and I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys. Thanks.
So they're after all of the money that he's going to get from that. Because after he pays taxes, and so they're looking for him to settle.
And $100 million would go into production costs and stuff like that as well. Maybe, I don't know if that would just be take home. But
they're looking for him to settle. You know, they ask for 50, and if he came back and said, "I'll give you 5," she'd probably be like, 6, see ya.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, so the thing is, I think like you said earlier, if his plan was to make this go away, he would have offered them some type of settlement right off the bat and gotten it out of the news cycle as fast as he could. I saw the Quartering released a tweet that said Disney already let Shannon Sharpe skate on live streaming plowing some chick. This sex tape is going to get him fired from Disney, which owns ESPN. Dude is almost 60 years old. He should know way better than fooling around with some 19-year-old OnlyFans whore. His characterization. Who's trash too, and then he called him an idiot.
Look, some editorializing going on there.
There's gotta be professionals that wouldn't do that. Like, there are girls that like will go ahead. There are hookers that'll go ahead and be like, okay, I will keep my mouth shut. Like, because there are dudes with more money than Homeboy that actually go to hookers too. Like. I mean,
but it's
choices.
A story as old as time. Famous men who just They just can't help themselves,
Yeah.
despite the fact that they know that it is bad for, like, you're taking a risk that could destroy your career, destroy, like, I don't know if he's married or anything, but destroy your career. I don't think he is. Destroy your family, your loved ones, all the scandal in the world. And it's almost like...
Hold on. Pokeyman in the chat said, we don't know that, Phil. If that were not the case, that there are hookers that will keep their mouth shut, all the hookers that Biden's kid was banging would have come out and said, hey, Biden, Hunter, give me money. There are absolutely, that is a real thing.
Do the women of the night, do they have like a code that they use?
I have no idea.
Is there like
I mean, I imagine that discretion is your biggest tool in that.
Well, yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're
like, can
actually,
you get disbarred?
you're paying for discretion.
You get disbarred from the corner.
Yeah. Well, you're not on the corner.
Well, yeah, they're not on the corner.
At that tax bracket, you're not on the corner.
Right, you're on like a really nice corner.
Yeah, you're on the apps.
You're on the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
you're
in the gated community.
Like, I imagine, like, dudes that have helicopters that go from Manhattan to New Jersey.
Right.
Those dudes are banging hookers, and
Right.
you know that those hookers are not telling their wives. They're not going to the press. Like,
Yeah.
me and Olivia were going into DC, or we were going into Tyson's Corner the other day, and we just passed by this hotel. And it's like you can see into the Capitol, like the farther you go. And I was like, that politicians just bring hookers here.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at this hotel off the freeway, and I'm like, that there is some politician in there right now with a call girl that is going to send her out the back door, and he's going to leave through the front door. And that's the whole point.
It's the oldest story in the book. Like, wealthy dudes that pay hookers and they keep their mouth shut. This guy's problem was that he went with a 19-year-old chick from OnlyFans.
I'm also, I'm also gonna show you these text messages that he released, that Shannon Sharpe and his lawyers released, that show it to be a consensual relationship. I'll refrain from reading these to anyone, but they talk about, she talks about allegedly wanting him to put a baby in her.
That's, let me get my hooks in you. Like, that right there is another very, very bad sign. This woman looked at this guy and was like, he's my payday.
Yeah.
Right.
She's like, I don't like doing OnlyFans. This guy, I can get money from this guy.
I don't know if the woman in question here was on OnlyFans. I just know that this was, I don't know if the 19-year-old in question there before is the same as this woman here. Those could be different cases. But the thing is these are stories as old as time, especially with these types of famous men. It's they can't help themselves. It's something about it. Something about their drive prevents them from being able to stop when clearly bad decisions are going. And it's always connected to sex drive.
Yeah.
Like, it's always there's all these pitfalls that you should be able to see when you're making these choices that they just can't help themselves.
I mean, Genghis Khan's Exhibit A.
Well, we're all aren't we all like related to Genghis Khan in some way?
I'm not.
Everybody from Europe.
Everybody
Everybody from Asia.
Okay.
Yeah. No, like Europe, if you're from Hungary, probably.
Yeah. All right, so we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out, but he seems to be adamant about fighting it. And these days, let's face it, like, people are more skeptical and a lot more cynical when it comes to these types of Me Too cases. They don't approach them with the same believe all women mentality that was once held.
Unless there's evidence that he did something, like injured her or whatever, then it's just he said, she said, and Again,
I still think a lot of that is connected to the fact that what was it? Oh, I just lost my train of thought. I just did the thing.
That's fine.
That he's famous. So, all right, let's move on. We got more stuff to get into today. So, I want to dunk on boomers a little bit, and I figured that that you would enjoy this, right?
I will.
You enjoy that?
You dislike boomers?
I like the boomers in my life. But I like generalizing too. So.
All right, so you've all heard the meme "Okay Boomer," right? Everybody remembers that. Well, I have a new one that I would like to explore, which is the idea of "Okay Famous Boomer," because there's this mentality amongst famous boomers where I think the joke is always like regular boomers have fetishized struggle. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps if you want to make it. Well, that's different when you're a rich boomer because you have the means of providing for your children. Did you guys see this story about, it's Guy Fieri. I will not pronounce it the way he pronounced it.
How does he pronounce it?
Fieri? Something like that,
That's
right?
not even his biological name.
Fieri.
Yeah. First of all, for all intents and purposes, I love diners, drive-ins, and dives. I think it's probably the last great bit of Americana you're ever going to see. Go watch original episodes of Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives if you want a great look, a snapshot of America and what we all used to be when we were connected as a species here in America. Guy Fieri says that his kids have to get 2 college degrees before they can collect on his inheritance. His youngest son is trying to make a different deal. So let's just go through it a little bit at a time. We'll get into the commentary. So it says, Guy Fieri has a $100 million contract with the Food Network, but that hasn't changed the celebrity chef's rule regarding his children's future inheritance. If they want this cheese, you've got to get 2 degrees. I don't know why he had to make it rhyme, but he did. Which is something that he got from Shaq, because he famously says that all his kids have to get multiple college degrees if they want to collect on their inheritance. He says he recently sat down with Business Insider to discuss his new flavors for Waterloo sparkling water, and everybody is taking me to the bank on this one. His eldest son, Hunter, is set to graduate with an MBA from the University of Miami in May, and his 26-year-old nephew, Jules, whom he helped raise since his sister died in 2011, recently graduated the law program at Loyola Marymount University. Poor Ryder is just finishing his freshman year at San Diego State University. The boys rib him all the time. They're like, we're done. You still got to go and finish college and go get your postgraduate. Well, I think most people are actually more worried about how they're going to pay for it when they're there. It's not about whether they're going to finish or not. It's about whether they're going to pay for it or not. He says that his son tried to negotiate his way out of their arrangement. He's like, Dad, come give me a break. How about if I get great grades the whole time? The chef said he was passing down lessons his father taught him. It's a thing that my dad said when I was a kid. When I die, I'm leaving you nothing except a funeral bill, he said. Look, I'm going to stop right there. I hate this.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
hate this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I despise this idea that you're teaching your kids a lesson by offering them unnecessary hardship.
Insane.
There was this thing that came out from Fortune magazine recently that says that millennials are the first generation to be doing worse than their parents by like a significant amount. Like they're earning less money by the time they're in their 30s or their 40s than their parents were at that time, right? Hold please. Nobody's gonna dance except for Tate and me. Phil will not dance. That was the face you were making last night, Phil.
No, last night I was enjoying it. It was really funny.
So he makes this comment about how his kids went to private school and all of their friends were driving Lexuses and Range Rovers, but he was driving a 1990 pickup truck.
Which
Again,
worth a fortune.
Why? What is that supposed to teach your kids?
Yeah, I mean, like
I hate it's a fetish. It's this weird fetish that if you don't give unto your kids, that they're going to learn a lesson, but you actually have to teach them lessons.
And I think like with celebrities specifically, they're so paranoid of the because they've grown up with the Nepo baby being the worst possible person, and I think they're absolutely petrified of placing that on their children, and that's part of the reason they overcorrect so hard, among other things.
He says, my dad gave me awareness. My dad gave me the tools of life. It was very clear at a very young age I was going to go and make it on my own. See, the thing is, though, is just telling your kids you can't have anything isn't teaching them anything. Correct. Now, I give him credit. All his sons, if I remember correctly, all worked on his shows and got jobs that involved actually doing something. Whether they're going to go into business in that industry, I don't know. But teaching them work ethic is fine. But there is this weird obsession with the idea of pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and making it on your own, despite the fact that they've literally created a world that has made it impossible for the younger generation to get ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, so I have an issue. Well, not an issue, but I don't think that that's accurate when you say boomers created a world, because it's not all the boomers, right? It's a very select few people, like people in government and people that are you know, heads of business and stuff like that. It's likely more accurate to say things like, you know, the elites created this kind of world. Because your average
Were
person
those?
that has,
I mean, I guess I when I think of it like, but the thing is that world has been created by the elites, and then those beliefs have been parroted now by those people. Like, do you ever see
but the reason
memes?
the reason they're parroted is because it worked for them.
Do you ever see the memes, the pictures of like when the election was going on? It's like the two boomers in the hot tub holding up a glass of champagne. We're voting for Kamala Harris, and like the response is like, great, one more fuck you on your way out before you die.
Yeah.
Right?
Like for me, when I think boomers, I think of Woodstock. I think of a generation falling asleep at the wheel. So I don't think they created this world. I think they were just responsible for the decline, ushered over it.
They also talk, I'm also going to pull up this article here. So there's these other examples of these celebrities who talk about, I love this one. Let me see if I can, literally talks about spending the money before he dies.
That kind of stuff. Like, look, if you're a parent, the most important thing for you to do is take care of your family, take care of your children. The idea that a proper course of action, the idea that the way to instill work ethic into them is to make sure that they have nothing is wrong. I don't believe that that is an effective strategy at all. I think that if you're going to instill work ethic in them, that's something you do actively with them, not by saying, well, you better work because you're not getting anything, first of all. And second of all, the idea that, oh, you need to get these degrees so that way you can get money, that is absolutely stupid, right? Yeah. The idea that once you get these degrees that likely will be worthless because they're not going to be trade degrees. They're not going to be he's not going to learn how to do a trade. He's not going to be a plumber. Not going to be a
business degree will work for him. Look, he can go work for BlackRock.
Maybe.
And then
maybe,
sell out the people even further.
But he didn't specify what degree it is, just 2 degrees. And what are you going to do if you have to get 2 degrees? Liberal, just bullshit stuff, right? It's going to be liberal arts kind of stuff. It's going to be lame stuff. It's going to be something in the humanities, which is the last thing that we need. The humanities are totally corrupted. So the idea that a liberal arts degree or just any random degree is going to be beneficial to this child is literally offloading the job of raising the child. If your child has not developed at least the foundation for a work ethic by the time they go to college, it doesn't matter that they get the 2 degrees or not. Right? They get the 2 degrees because they want to get the money. But once they get the money, they don't have the work ethic to do anything. They're going to be like, I got the money. What the hell do I need to go to work for? F you.
Yeah.
You know?
They have, the degrees would have no practical application. I saw somebody in the chat saying, like, nobody has a right to the money. It's not yours. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that family is the base level of these things, and taking care of your family matters.
Yes.
Now, for the most of us,
the parents have a responsibility. They don't have, the kids don't have a right, but the parents have a responsibility. And again, something that we miss talking about way too much is responsibility. There is a responsibility that comes with every action and every liberty that you have. If you want to have kids, you want to have a family because you want to have that good time feeling, you want to, you like playing with the kids, and it fulfills the biological desire. Well, you have a responsibility to take care of that child.
Yeah. Well, I think this is downstream from the shift in the mindset of why people work hard. Because if you ask someone 60 years ago, 70 years ago, well, why do you work so hard? They say, well, to provide for my family.
Yeah.
You ask someone now, why do you work so hard? It's like,
so that I can
have
own a
nicer
timeshare
things. Yeah, so I can
Florida.
go. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, this is all just downstream from the radical shift that Americans have had on money.
I think the idea is rooted in a good concept that kids need to learn hard work. They need to learn responsibility. I don't equate getting 2 degrees of dubious nature to hard work and responsibility. One of the things I talk about quite frequently on the show is there's been an ongoing psyop in Hollywood to show you the character where they talk about the first kid in their family to go to college, and they talk about college like it's this end all be all for everyone, as if that is going to solve them and pull them out of poverty. Bullshit. It's a debt trap for 90% of the people that end up in college, and for the rest of them, they do, whether it's on scholarship or because their family can afford to go to it, they may put those degrees to use, they may not, but that does not matter, because without the debt hanging over them, they're free to move about industries and try different things. Whereas for the rest of them, they are stuck then paying down loans that they can't afford, and then somehow the government gets the government is expected to pull you out of that. And even then, we have shitty administrations that try to pay off student debt. I don't buy that either. Why does nobody hold the schools responsible, and why does nobody hold the parents responsible for helping kids understand that going to college and getting a degree does not equal the same thing as being responsible and making it for yourself. In fact, a great number. Why is the trope always all the tech billionaires dropped out of college to go on and start their own tech company? They didn't need it in the first place. Now, for plenty of people, if you're going to go into business, right? We were talking about it the other day. I made the joke because we went to the like the Utz or Oots, whatever, the chip company. We went to their factory, to their discount factory, and we were talking about it because Campbell's owns them, and then we were looking at all of the subsidiary companies that own them, and then who owns the shares of Campbell's, and it's BlackRock, it's Vanguard, it's State Street. So if those kids want to make money, yes, get a business degree and go and work for private equity, sure. But that's not the same thing as saying that going to college is going to turn you into a responsible person. And I just find it funny because it's like the boomers who did make their money but then spend their money and don't leave any to their kids, fine, the kids aren't owed it. But it's like they've absolved themselves of any responsibility, and the celebrities have found a different way to do that and approach it in a different way. I just find it interesting. I do agree that you should not expect anything for free. I don't believe that expecting your parents to provide for you leads you down a good path. I'm not saying that at all. I did not come from a family that was wealthy. My dad worked for the Army Corps of Engineers, and my mom was a social worker. We did not have I grew up in a middle class suburb, in like the poor part of the middle class suburb before all of the rich people moved in. So like 3M, if you know what the company 3M is, they moved in downwind, like to like the next town over. So all of the people who were making good money there moved into the new developments there. I grew up around people with money, but did not necessarily have money. I get it, right? And plenty of those kids who were given everything by their parents were dicks and stupid. I get it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we've taken this idea that no, you're not owed anything, and we've just pushed it to such a far conclusion that it doesn't make sense anymore. And I've talked on IRL before. I said, look, this country has a nihilism problem with upcoming generations. And one of the things that they have to contend with now, on top of the fact that wages have stagnated and all of this other stuff is going on, is like, look, nobody can afford health insurance, all of these problems. You can ignore the qualms of the next generation at your own peril, but it's still going to be there. People believe that like these kids are going to grow up in the crap shoot that we're in now, and they're going to believe in free markets. Nah, I don't believe that. And I don't think the next generation believes that. And one of the easiest ways to lose your kids is to offer them up to a lifetime of debt in college and dead-end jobs, and how much anger is going to come from them if you had the means of helping them out in some way, and you don't.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Also find it funny because Guy Fieri, I mean, I don't know his background, but I imagine his success didn't come through
college degrees. Yeah, right. Like,
so
did he go to culinary school? I don't know. But even then, like, that's not going to be the majority of people who do that.
I assume he doesn't have an MBA from Miami. Like,
yeah.
Well, you didn't do it, so why should I do it?
Just my thoughts on the matter. I just thought I just think it's interesting because the struggle between kids and their parents happens at any tax bracket, right? That's not new. I just thought it was interesting. So, all right. What would you guys like to see? Cringe or cute of the day? Cringe first? Okay.
I always want to see cringe. Hopefully the cute will actually, clean the palate from whatever horrible atrocities you're providing.
Okay. All right, here's the cringe of the day. This one was actually kind of scary, if I'm being completely honest. This is fans risking their life to run up an escalator after WrestleMania. You'll see. So you can see the guy. He just barely made it. And this poor guy.
That's a lot of steps. Bro, you got to have your cardio together. These guys that are like, oh man, I play a lot of video games.
That guy's like, I work out. Maybe not.
He left his merch at the top of his.
Oh, he gave up. I believe that.
Oh! You just know that dude's like, there's no way I'm going back down those stairs. Like,
well, you might be.
So what was happening is like there's the escalator up was just packed with people, and he's like, no, I'm gonna make it up myself.
Look, man, if you can get away, if you can do it, that's fine. But like, there are plenty of people that have like swam out to save someone, and they get out to where the deep end is, and they're in the lake, and their cardio isn't what they thought, and next thing you know,
I was terrified of
they're
escalators.
swimming with the fishes.
Yeah.
I was terrified of escalators growing up because I saw like one of those like unsolved mysteries of a person getting sucked into the escalator by their shoelace.
Yeah, I grew up on Live Leak. Like you see in China, dude, they're getting eaten by escalators
Like
all the time.
it still at least crosses my mind anytime I get on an escalator.
I think it happens every week in China.
Somebody just get like I think they just do it on purpose. That's how they get rid of distance.
Yeah, they actually sharpen the teeth in the escalator so that way they don't stop it and mess up, for everyone else.
Yeah, I go there, I'm taking the elevators.
If you make the error of not being able to handle the escalator, it doesn't have to. They don't have to repair it. They just sharpen up the teeth so that way gets you processed more efficiently.
Right, yeah.
I think what it is, I think that's how they get rid of dissidents. So I think what it is like, so somebody's speaking out against the Chinese Communist Party, and like what's the name of the spy agency there?
I don't know that they have
they have their own.
I don't think they have a secret police because I think it's fairly out in the open because like the CCP is like has access to every part of your life.
DSO?
The MSS?
Yes, it's the MSS. Yeah. Okay, so what I imagine is they just send like an MSS agent up next to them and they just untie their shoe right before they get on the escalator, and then they just get sucked into it.
What's the point of a secret police in a country like China?
Well, no, not secret police. Spies is not the same thing. You still need intelligence agencies for the rest of the world. You're still going to send spies out.
Externally, okay.
Not secret police. That's what I think they're doing.
I think that's a good
All right. Cue to the day. This one's from Dandemonium. Fresh catnip is the devil's lettuce. Just look at the rage and carnage. Yes, Chloe goes nuts on the catnip.
So it's more like meth for a cat
it
than
seems like
marijuana.
Cat's tweaking out.
Well, so what Chloe does is she's like this, and then we time it, and then within 2 minutes she's rolling around in it like this. Like she's on acid.
Good for her.
Oh, that's a cute cat, though. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, when the trip is really bad.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We are going to move on. We are going to get started. Again, we are going to save all Super Chats other than $20 Super Chats for the end of the show. So just if you do have a Super Chat and you send it through, we will get to it. We're just going to get to it towards the end. So, all right, let's talk about Kanye West. So I'm not sure if you guys saw this story, but Kanye West had a series of new tweets that came out. He has a new song called Cousin that details an explicit relationship between himself and a male cousin who is now, according to him, in jail in prison for life for murdering a pregnant woman.
Yeah, not a beacon of
Let's read it. So this is the tweet. It says, "This song is called Cousin, about my cousin that's locked up in jail for life for killing a pregnant lady a few years ago after I told him we wouldn't look at dirty magazines together anymore." He says, "Perhaps in my self-centered mess, I felt it was my fault that I showed him these dirty magazines when he was 6, and we acted out what we saw. My dad had Playboy magazines, but the magazines I found in the top of my mom's closet were different. My name is Ye, and you get
right.
It. Yes.
I mean, look, I don't know about this room, but I know chat will
Happy?
agree with me. We've all had this experience. I know
Says
chat's
that
gonna agree with me.
My mom didn't have the hardcore.
Says that he sucked his cousin's until he was 14.
I got that.
I guess my first thought was like, where do you go from?
No, my first thought is I did not want to know this, Kanye.
Yes. I get maybe I'm just blackpilled from talking about like crazy Hollywood shit every day. Like, where do you go to shock people after selling swastika merch?
Yeah.
Right?
It's an arms race.
Like, do you I don't know how much, like, did you grow up listening to Kanye at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a huge Kanye fan. I didn't know he made music, but I loved the everything.
Well, he's a producer before he was an artist.
Yeah, I'm talking about the producing.
Yeah.
Of course,
Sure you are.
No, yeah.
What was your first thought when you saw this?
I mean, honestly, yeah, like you said, the shock factor's just gone. Like, I just read that. I was like, okay, I could have done without that, I think.
Well, it feels like eventually, like it's kind of like lolcow status. Like the farther you push it, eventually you just become a parody unto yourself.
I wanted to know. I love the Kanye glazers and the replies. Takes a man to admit something so personal.
Does it?
Like, what?
Is that what they were saying?
Does it now? Does it?
Yeah,
now?
there's really.
I mean, I guess this is the South Park fish sticks.
Yeah,
you know?
gay fish.
Cousin sticks.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe it inherently. Like, maybe I'm just trained this way now, but I tend to take everything I read now with what is the benefit for a person saying this?
When did the news come out?
Like yesterday.
On Hitler's birthday?
Day after Hitler's birthday, because Sunday would.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody can check me on that. Maybe it came out on Sunday, but they were saying that somebody said, "So you're telling me that the Pope died on 420 and he was 88, but he didn't die on 420. He was 421." So
I fully believe that if there is a hell and Hitler's in it, he is looking up at Kanye and he is like,
yeah,
this is actually where like my previous life is making my afterlife just that incrementally worse.
Yeah.
You know?
So
the lake of fire is not enough. Now my biggest supporter is a black gay guy.
Here was some of the tweets that came out about it. So these were people responding to what he said. I just thought some of these were very telling. It says, "I'm sorry for him and the parties involved. I hope he was able to seek out help in regards to that situation, and he has come to terms with whatever that may be." So, I don't know. This person says, "I don't know how anyone could laugh at this. This is childhood trauma not to be taken lightly. I love you, dude, and I appreciate your vulnerability always." My issue with that is, like, when you push the envelope so far, people don't know whether to take you seriously or not.
I mean, do you think that there are a lot of people that take Kanye seriously? I mean, I know. Okay, so
well, I mean, this person is taking
Fuentes and his fans take him seriously.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I mean, maybe he is taking him seriously. I don't know, but.
This person says this man will do anything to get attention. I was talking to someone about this recently, which is like, you have to, like, if you're going to be famous on the internet now, like in today's day and age, you have to kind of be okay with being famous in whatever way you're interpreted by other people. You can't control how you're perceived. And what that does is it creates this hunger for fame, which completely ignores the need for it to be good fame. So it's kind of like Logan Paul still being, like, people talk about Logan Paul getting famous and the video from from the Japanese forest.
Was that I thought he was already kind of famous when that
But he was getting famous at that time, right? But the point is, there is a certain type of influencer celebrity now. They don't care what you think of them, just that you think of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's necessarily the case here. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's very clearly struggling mentally, and that is what it is. But we live in an age now where if you really want to make some type of inroads fame-wise on the internet, you can't really be picky about how you're perceived. In fact, you end up paying for it more the more you try to control how people think of you.
Okay.
No?
I don't really have.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree.
No.
I mean, maybe it is. I'm not so sure that Kanye is that. I don't think that your point is wrong, but I think that Kanye achieved fame, like, beyond fame so long ago that I think that that those rules don't apply to Kanye. I think you're probably your assessment or analysis is probably accurate with most people that are going to be famous nowadays, but I'm not sure that that's something that Kanye would think, or that would. I think Kanye thinks that he's being irreverent, and he thinks that people like it because he interacts with people that continuously tell him that he's great, even though a lot of people give him crap, and he's had a lot of pushback.
I mean, that's what the inner circle of most of the famous people, like, I'm guessing that most of the famous influencers have an inner circle of people that tell them they're great as well, despite the fact that they may not be perceived that way by the outside world. I guess I'm more speaking to the fact that you can't be picky anymore. Like, one of the hallmarks of old Hollywood or old fame was rigid control of your image. And that's out the window now.
Yeah.
Like it used to be that you had an agent and a manager, and they worked we talked yesterday about Justin Bieber seems to be going off the rails now since he fired his old team, and the people that cleaned up his messes back in the day are no longer there to clean up his messes and keep his image squeaky clean. So nowadays, it's almost like you don't even have that option anymore for new age celebrities. I'm not talking about the ones who are Kanye level. I'm talking about influencers and stuff like that. You don't have the ability to have a squeaky clean image because people, I think that they mistake sometimes authenticity for edginess, where they believe if somebody says something really edgy, they must be being authentic to who they are.
I think you still have the option. I think that most people don't choose it, though.
You think it's because it's easier?
It is easier, and also people want the authenticity. They want the authenticity, and it's easy to misjudge what is going to be received well and what is not going to be received well. And they're also doing their own content creation. They're doing it from their phone at home. If you look at people that have really squeaky clean images, they don't do it from their home, and if they do, they're almost always contrived. And you can almost always tell that it was done by the publicist. But when they have the publicist do it, they don't make the mistakes that that other people do. So I think that there are people that opt out of it, but it's not that it's not possible anymore. It's just that it's not popular.
I guess
anymore.
I'm speaking more from the influencer perspective, which is what you're talking about there, which is like the influencer perspective is not somebody who's got an agent doing their social media content. They're doing it themselves.
I mean, yeah, maybe that might be true. But you look at the that MFer is not real, right? She has locked down her persona since that. Now she is a pro marketer, but
that was her job.
Doing it herself, and she has essentially cleaned that up, and she locked that down, and now she's doing stuff with Barstool, and she's monetized. She's making she's monetized her own celebrity. So I think a lot of it is because they want to do it themselves, or they think that they should do it themselves, and because it's very, very, very easy to misjudge how things are going to be received. So I think that people that are successful at it are more controlled, and they have a team of people.
Do you think that edginess is now just seen as like a shortcut towards authenticity? I guess I say that now because there's people who say crazy stuff, and I'm just like, I would never in my lifetime say that. Like I can't.
I think the only person that's actually edgy, like the only famous person that's really edgy, is actually Kanye.
Okay, there you have it.
I do think people are realizing that the edginess is the shortcut, because I don't know if you've seen like when these new these Bitcoin tokens come out, the cryptocurrency. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. When these new cryptos come out, the marketing schemes that they use are like they'll just say the N-word over and over again or
the
stuff.
first thing I thought of wasn't that, but it was the girl who just Lily Gladys.
Yeah, and
then
just
just
know
disappeared.
It's a shortcut. Yeah, and that's the problem. Like, then this is what Kanye is realizing: is you hit a ceiling of edginess.
Yeah.
How do you up the ante from there?
I don't know if you can.
I don't know if you can.
I don't know if you can. I did also see this tweet, which I thought was very interesting. Jeffree Star says, okay, the rumors were true. If you don't know, apparently there were rumors that in 2021, Kanye West and Jeffree Star had a romantic relationship. I'm guessing that this is not true, and they're just getting in on it.
Kanye's the wave, and Jeffree Star's the surf.
I hadn't thought about him in 3 to 4 years.
It comes up on this show sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, Mary will bring up Jeffree Star
not
from
knowing what he was up to.
But it says, a false rumor circulated in early 2021 suggesting Kanye West and Jeffree Star were in a romantic relationship. Both West and Star have publicly denied these claims, with Star releasing a YouTube video specifically addressing the rumor. See what I mean? You have to be okay by saying, okay, F it, it's true. If it's not true, you have to be okay with being taken out of context. Right. Now, some person who doesn't understand the internet is going to believe that it's true, and it's just not. Or I'm assuming it's. I'm actually not taking Jeffree Star's word and saying that it's not true, right? I don't know. I just think that I tweeted last night. I was like, look, people aren't designed to hear the opinions of millions of people having things to say about their life. And there are people that thrive on it these days, that people have adapted to that kind of circumstance now, where you share the facts of your day and somebody says, And you have 10,000 people who either love what you do or hate what you do. And there are people who have adapted to that. There are people who even thrive with that. But I do believe... Oh, you want to go for
Weird Traveler says, I think Jeffree Star is a very pretty man.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. I do think there are people that thrive in that world now where they share their one thought and 10,000 people tell them they're wrong or 10,000 people tell them they're right. But I do think that you kind of pay for it in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I think my point was like, look, it kind of hardens your heart. It makes you less empathetic because it becomes less about whether what you're saying connects with people as long as it connects with as many people as possible. And I feel like when I see with Kanye here, he may not be the perfect example of that because he was a traditional celebrity beforehand, but I feel like that's a logical extension of how that mindset has gone because people don't really care anymore how they're perceived because it's a fool's errand to try and get everybody to like you. And I don't know if I find that to be good for society.
No.
I think actually that it's a detriment to society in a lot of ways. So, all right. Enough of my ranting on said subject. Let's move on. Little did you guys know that if you have kids, the teachers in Britain believe that it's influencers like Andrew Tate that are responsible for a rise in misogyny showing up in their classrooms now. So this was from a... This is from a new study that was done. It says social media influencers, I'm going to put it up on screen there, are fueling an increase in misogyny and sexism in schools, according to a new poll by teachers unions. Well, there's the first problem. Am I right? Teachers
Yeah,
unions?
absolutely.
So
You're
true.
not only are you
So
asking,
true.
you're asking all women, and they're all
Yes.
union members.
It says
That's
almost,
totally going to give you a realistic understanding of the world.
almost 3 in 5 teachers said that they believe social media use has a negative effect on behaviors in school. The poll of 5,800 teachers in the UK found influencers and self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate was named number 1 by this poll of women. So I guess young boys everywhere are just tuning into Andrew Tate and turning into huge misogynists.
Well, they have it completely the other way around, which it's school kids, as they're rebelling against the culture that they're, growing up in, which is overbearing, which is very effeminate.
And schools are designed
Yeah,
to
they're
cater to
suffocating.
women.
Yeah.
And so they're rebelling, and then the influencers are simply filling the void of the content that they'd want to
Yep.
see. So it's the complete other way around. It's the schools are, and then the influencers have to tap into that energy.
But I mean, think about how ridiculous that is, though. You're going with an absolutely incredibly narrow segment of the population, right? You're not asking parents.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
asking, like, hey, what do you, are kids this way? What do you see at home? Blah, blah, blah. You're asking specific people with a specific job that have a specific opinion and they all share the same opinion. You're not going to get a variety of different takes from
Yeah.
union member teachers.
Yeah.
They're all, it's like asking the same person 1,000 times,
And the press does this over and over again, and it's so infuriating where they this is their way of dismissing concerns among the population, is like, or they're chastising far right and populist movements. It's like,
Yeah, they list popular. It's so funny because I was watching this video today, Shoe on Head's video about the dark history of USAID, and they talk
Great
about
video.
I know, and they talk about
Kudos,
how USAID was originally designed to stop communism, but later was used against right-wing and populist influences here in America. And this is kind of the offshoot of that, is they really do fear the idea of populism because we've lived in like this neoliberal society for so long that they can't imagine any viewpoint being able to get traction outside of the viewpoints that they already had because they had tight control over the media, and the internet has democratized that and given other messages a voice. Now, the offshoot of that, the problem is you're going to get terrible influences there as well. But what that says to me is that what created this market? Why is this a need that needs to be catered to at all? And the problem is most people these days, they don't have the ability to be introspective enough to look within and be like, what is it that we lack that made this so enticing to other people?
Yeah.
It's incredible. And one of the factors is at least incredibly simple. If there's a problem with young boys are raised predominantly, at least in the United States. I'm not sure about the UK, but there has never been a larger percentage of young men that are raised by a single mother, and all of their teachers are women.
yeah.
if there is a problem with young boys, it is a lack of good masculine men teaching them how to behave. Now, granted, I personally have my doubts that Andrew Tate is a good role model.
Yeah.
I have significant doubts about that.
Absolutely.
But Andrew Tate fills a role that is not being filled by parents. Part of the reason is because all teachers and women are raising kids. And another part of the reason is because men have stepped back and allowed their wives to run the roost. They're like, honey, what do you want me to do? Honey, how are we doing this? Honey, how? And they don't have actual input because they ascribe to the, well, happy life, happy wife, happy life.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
they don't
that's-
assert themselves at all. So they're not teaching their sons how to be boys.
Mm-hmm.
They're allowing their wives to teach their sons how to be, broken girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of like I was speaking earlier about the Hollywood's trope about college being the fix for everything. The happy wife, happy life trope is also something that Hollywood has done for a very long time. The problem is back when they used to do it, the men involved weren't always the the doormats that you see now. They were still somebody who could change a car tire and change the oil on his car and take care of things around the house. He just happened to defer to his wife in certain things, and that is now combined with the fact that we've emasculated men and we've gotten rid of male only spaces and taken
that's
away
another
these
big
things
thing.
that help men. It's all kind of come together to make one big problem for everybody. Here's with some of the quotes in there. This one says, this is from a teacher. I have had boys refuse to speak to me and speak to a male teaching assistant instead because I am a woman and they follow Andrew Tate and think he's amazing with all his cars and women. These were 10-year-olds, the teacher says. I don't know if I buy that 10-year-olds are watching Andrew Tate, but I guess I can't tell her she's wrong.
I remember when I saw this story, there was a great commentary on it. It's something these teachers are missing is, and this isn't like, this is whatever, but like there's studies about 40% of school children in the UK come from a Muslim background. And so obviously they're going to have a little bit different perspective on female teachers coming from that background. And they're like, well, it must be Andrew Tate. And it's like, no, that's not actually.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Well, this
in some
one
cases
says,
probably, but
this one says, another teacher said, in a secondary English class last year, a group of boys opted, despite discouragement, to write a persuasive essay on why Andrew Tate is the GOAT, which included praise of his views that women are a man's property. All of the parents were contacted and they were appalled. So the parents aren't that's the other thing is parents are not expected to even monitor their kids' internet use or try to curb this behavior by actually having discussion with their kids about good and bad influences. And that's an issue as well. Influencers are raising your kids just like your toddlers are being raised by Coco Melon.
yeah.
Right? And that's not helpful in the slightest at all.
Yeah, parents have a responsibility to raise their kids. Like you can't let your iPad do it. You can't let the school do it. You can't just offload it to someone else. You have to actually be involved with your kids' lives.
So here's another one. This was this follow-up article. It continues from The Guardian. It says other reports instances boys of barking at female staff and blocking doorways as a result of Andrew Tate videos. Another teacher said pupils watch violent and extreme pornographic material. Their attention spans have dropped. They read lots of fake news and sensationalized stories that make them feel empowered, like they know better than the teacher. So I'm guessing that the teachers are maybe in the same wavelength as that lady who was on IRL last night. I have no idea if they're using fake news in that context. But what is it that has been missing for the raising of boys that has made this market so appealing? So I've told this before. I'm 38. I'm a millennial, and the time period that I grew up in had a lot of messaging that was, to women, you can do anything you want. You can be the president. You can be the CEO. You can have everything. You don't have to sacrifice one thing for another. You're going to be able to do whatever you want and smash gender roles. We just did a story yesterday about Meghan Markle getting caught supposedly allegedly plagiarizing this feminist piece of this feminist book about women's empowerment and smashing gender roles. The thing is that message was already prominent when I was in high school, in junior high, but nobody really talked about what boys were supposed to do with that. You're preaching a message that drastically changes the gender norms for an entire population, and you've only really given advice to one of those demographics and just kind of asked the other demographic deal with it without telling them what is it that you're supposed to deal with, what is a good way to do so. And they've been essentially told to sit down and shut up for the last however many years. And now what they're seeing is, you know, they've raised a new generation of boys who aren't adherent to the same neoliberal talking points. And the problem with that is it's bleeding through into the media they're seeing now, because it's not controlled by Hollywood and the news companies that used to do so. Look, if you want to go and watch those movies, Hollywood's still making them. They're still making the girl boss stuff, but even that ends up getting rejected because nobody wants to see it anymore. It's being roundly rejected by the millennial men now, who seem to have no interest in watching it, though they might be quiet about it because they don't want to be yelled at from someone their own age about how they're not feminist enough, oddly enough making them the problem too. And the next generation has no qualms with ignoring these things the way that the millennials leaned into it. So how do you fix it?
Yeah, I mean, like Phil was hitting on, I mean, the big thing is fathers, and it's just this view of school as daycare needs to stop, because that's what's leading to this ultimately. But something else, and they hit on it in this article at the end of what you're reading, and I actually agree with this, is they attribute the representation to them of the difference of power between men and women through pornography. And I actually do agree with that, because the overwhelming majority of men in this country and in the Western world are addicted to pornography. And yeah, that completely warps your view of sex, it completely warps your view of women, and naturally that's going to bleed into your philosophy or your politics and that sort of thing. And yeah, I think it's really important, and no one's talking about it. It
has a drug-like effect in the same way. So I've told this story before. Like, I've been sober for quite a few years now, and one of the most intense parts of substance abuse is that, especially if you're doing like opiates or benzos, it completely destroys your desire to go out and create or to fulfill. So, you know the feeling like you go out, you wake up every day, you go to work, you go to the gym, you go skate in my case, or you go do some hobby, and then you go about your day and you come home, you shower, you get ready for bed. There is like a sense of fulfillment that brings about the end of the day for a person. The problem is with drugs, what it does is it fills that void and makes it so you don't need to achieve anything to feel like you can bring your day to a close. So that's a huge part of it. And pornography does the same thing. So when you talk about the fact that, you know, men have gone their whole lives without approaching a woman, have never actually attempted to be in a relationship, and women are wondering what the hell is going on because they're being counter-signaled the other way about what they're even supposed to do in that case. In a lot of ways, you would say that the access to pornography has filled that need in a very destructive way.
Yeah, because it's like, why would I talk to that girl? I have a girl on my phone at home that I can, you know, do whatever. And it's like, I mean, you often see when people say, oh, men aren't approaching women anymore, they attribute it to, well, you know, it's the MeToo movement, people are scared. And that's partially true. But again, no one ever speaks about it. And it's like the pornography thing is the big contributor, because men know that, like you said, that desire, that urge can be fulfilled in 10 minutes when they get home.
Not only that, there's also a far higher cost than there's ever been, right? Like if you go and approach a woman, right, and she decides that she wants to mock you, she's going to do it on the internet.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, and again, the bullying in high school, it doesn't end when you go home. It's on the internet. It's on Instagram. All these people. So the cost has been raised significantly. The social cost, right? To dudes that might be awkward, that might not know how to ask her, you know, that might say something wrong, you know, that might approach the wrong girl, that just decides that she's going to be mean because women don't behave like men. If they want to, like, to the way that they act out aggression is by embarrassing people, is by destroying someone's reputation. So women will do that. They'll go ahead and they'll be like, oh, well, here you go. So the actual value or the actual risk versus reward, it's astronomical for men now.
Well,
for young men.
Yeah, and I agree, but I also think like there has to be an additional factor, which is why I think pornography is changing the chemical.
Oh, I'm not.
No, and I know you're in agreement. Because like if your bloodline is on the line, like being mocked or being rejected is not going to be a factor. There has to be and I know you're in total agreement. It's like there has to be something happening at the biological level to men that's altering that. Because like I said, if your bloodline's on the line, you're not worried about. What if she says no? It's in the back of everyone's heads because the majority of men are addicted. It's
I don't know if kids think of it like that. They get even.
Well, there's a biological urge to procreate,
and so that gets fulfilled by the pornography or whatever. And it's only going to get worse because AI, AI is going to be able to fill that role. Because nowadays, very soon, AI is going to be able to remember things. Yeah. So you're going to have an AI girlfriend that you'll text. Maybe you don't have the robot. I
mean, that's already happening.
Robot.
The chat bots and stuff.
I mean, because that was the fear, is that pornography up until now has addressed the biological desire. It can fulfill the biological desire. Going forward, it can start filling that emotional desire. That's absolutely petrifying because so many men are going to take the buyout. A lot of men are already taking the buyout.
So I want to go back to what you said about the risk that it costs men if they approach a woman. So the meme where it's like, what do you mean you're cyberbullied? Just close the computer. Yeah. I don't know if that necessarily applies anymore as more and more of your life is integrated into the computer. Yep. Like there may have been a time where it's like somebody said something mean to you on the internet. You could just close your computer and never think about it again. But now it's being said to you on some social media platform, which is thereby an extension of who you are. Mm-hmm. So somebody says something crazy about you on Instagram or X. Look, that's your means of communication, or your Facebook, right? That's how you stay in touch with your family. That's how you stay in touch with your friends, especially if you're a boomer. Like, you can't just walk away from that now. Yeah. It's not the same thing anymore. And that's why I say that we were not meant to be connected to everyone all the time, because back in the day, look, the joke I always make is like, look, very few people actually got into like arguments or disagreements on a daily basis in their real life. Right? You went to work. Maybe you got into it with your boss once in a while. Maybe you got into it with a friend, like drunk at a party. But that's not the same thing as like you and your friend having like a back and forth, hash it out fight over some ideological stance yet. That's not how the world works.
And your friends weren't likely to use whatever insult they could possibly come up with too.
Correct.
Like, doesn't matter if it's true or not. Doesn't matter, what it is, whatever they can say to get a reaction to put you off your, off balance, someone on the internet will do, I'm lucky in the fact that like I've been on the internet for longer than I want to admit. So it's like, and I've been in the public eye for longer than I admit, putting something out there for people to criticize. So I'm largely, very callous to insults from the internet. But a kid is, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Expecting them to be able to handle that is insane.
No, and they can't.
They can't.
I mean, you see the sky-high depression and suicide rates. It's obvious what's going on here.
I don't know how to fix it, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. What is it? Jonathan Haidt, what was the book, has written several things about this. His was largely focused on the adverse effects of social media on women, though, if I remember, on young girls.
Well, yeah, because the way that young women act out is different than the way that young men act out.
All right, let's move on. I want to dunk on Hollywood just a little bit more. So, look, we talk all the time about how horrible press junkets are for celebrities these days because they can't seem to get away with from their politics at times when they should be promoting things that are actually good for them. In this case, I want to mention Sebastian Stan, who should be getting on the press junket promoting Thunderbolts, and Bella Ramsey, who should be trying to do damage control over the horrible release for The Last of Us Episode 2, which just people were very upset with how Joel was treated in that episode. If you hadn't played the game, you didn't know that was coming. But here's what Sebastian Stan said. He did a big interview with Variety, and he says, They asked him about Donald Trump. And remember, the reason this is true is because they love to tee up these questions to the celebrities because they know it's going to create this. You work in social media. Like, if it was your job, you'd be like, so what do you think of this controversial person?
In the industry, we call
right?
it a softball.
Yeah. So it says, Sebastian Stan on whether Trump watched The Apprentice. I would put my money down he's seen it 100 fucking times. Of course, he's a narcissist. I bet there's certain things he likes about it, such as how he looked. Which that feels narcissistic because he's then saying that Trump would like how he looks.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
So my question is, why are you talking about this right now when you should be promoting Thunderbolts, which has its work cut out for it, trying to claw back the Marvel box office? Is this something you'd like to do? Just tee up the softball questions that are going to get you the...
Yeah, that'd be the best job ever, working at Vanity Fair. You just take pictures of dresses and throw softballs at celebrities. That sounds like the easiest job in the world.
But the thing is, like, that's not the same thing. A softball is like asking them something that they can answer easily that won't offend anyone, right?
More like it's an alley-oop.
Yeah.
I throw it, you slam it
like
down.
They're like, so the editor is like, oh man, the views are down. Like nobody's reading Vanity Fair anymore. Are you kidding me? Like I
should do something no one else has done. We should make fun of Donald Trump.
Oh man! So then he's like, okay, so we're gonna softball this question. He's like, no, it's not a softball. It's an alley-oop, and you're gonna throw in that question because remember he played Donald Trump, so this topic is fair game.
Yeah.
And what they should be doing, what Sebastian Stan's agent should be doing, is like, how about you keep the discussion to like new projects, right? Because first of all, there was the quote unquote vibe shift in Hollywood where supposedly things are different, but apparently that's not true anymore. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we got a Top Gun movie out of it, and that's probably about it.
Is that all we got?
I think that's all we got. Yeah,
I love that movie.
Well ran dry, but yeah, I mean, the one upside of this Apprentice movie, I mean, I know it's been out for a while now, is the right on Twitter is finally starting to incorporate the scenes into edits, which has been it's been huge. Some new material was very much needed because the American Psycho stuff was getting old.
The Patrick Bateman stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I still love them. They're the classics, you got to go to the classics. But yeah, the Apprentice movies provided some really good.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, well, there's just like they portray him as just this like brooding psychopath at all times. So there's like the scene where he's like, you got to be cutthroat, you got to be a killer, you got to do this, you got to do that. And they were like, yeah, and they're super vindictive, of course, the writers. They're like, yeah, this is really gonna make people think this guy is a a true psychopath.
Yeah.
And then everyone saw it, like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Well, they
I can't wait to put this in an edit.
They have a real problem where, and that actually comes to the media literacy argument, where the writer of American Psycho is like really mad that Wall Street Bros love that movie.
Christian
right?
Bale hates it too.
Yeah, Christian Bale hates it too. So they get
but that's just because he's a catty gay.
They get really mad when you make something and then it makes them look cool.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like you're not supposed to like it.
You know who doesn't do that? Gosling. That's why I respect him. I'm a Gosling respecter.
Like,
because in Drive, where he's like, yeah, and everyone loves that movie. You never see him counter signaling people that like the movie.
Well, Ryan Gosling's like our last
last
hope. I kind of consider Ryan Gosling and Jake Gyllenhaal the same person, spiritually the same person.
Similar. But like, in Ken, he never came out once and said, no, that's not how you're supposed to interpret Ken.
Yeah.
Because I saw myself in Ken.
Yeah.
I thought I was watching, a secret camera or something.
You were Knuff.
Yeah, I really was. And I felt that he channeled that energy very well. And never once did Gosling come out and say, you're a terrible person if you like the movie.
Well, I mean, that's an issue that I have with a lot of Hollywood. Now, it's a little bit off topic, but like, they get really mad when you don't interpret a movie the way they want you to interpret it.
Yeah.
Like, especially if they feel like they're making fun of you, and then they have to be like, you didn't get it, right? That's the media literacy crowd.
You hear it all the time about Starship Troopers.
Yeah. Do you want to explain that one? Because that's one of those ones where I roll my eyes because I'm like, I will never get into that one with people. Well, like, I didn't read the book, and I've only seen the movie like twice, so I don't have like deep insight to the movie. I just know that anytime it comes up, even in we're not even talking about like the movie snobs, but like right-wing Twitter starts going back and forth about interpreting Starship Troopers.
Well, so the original Heinlein novel, like it is said that he was a fascist. Right. Yeah. The left says that he's a fascist. And then the movie was supposed to lampoon the actual book, because the book, it wasn't mocking the quote unquote fascist society. It was saying, look, this is a well organized, good society. It's a good way to organize, organize your society. And then the actual movie was actually kind of mocking it. And so when you see like the left will say, like leftists will say something that's kind of like sympathizing with the out group or whatever, and then someone on the right will put up a picture of like the bugs and the guy that can read the bug's mind, and it'll be like, the left is taking the bug side again, because they kind of do that.
Yeah.
And you see it today. The left, the Democrats in the government now, they're all siding with like the bad guys all the time. They're siding with the illegal immigrants. They're siding with the Trinidad criminals. They're siding with people that actually committed crimes. So that's the impulse on the left, is to side with the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so the left has a problem when the right's like, yeah, they're like, well, he was mocking blah blah blah, and they're like, no, but the Heinlein was right. The book's great.
Yeah.
This happened when Joker came out, and they got very mad that people like identified with Joker.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the movie, like, he's like, the world has treated him horribly. He goes on to do horrible things, but society is essentially, chewed him up and spit him out. Mm-hmm. And that spoke to a lot of people. It also had to do with the fact that the media made the movie out to be way worse than it was going to be, talking about how it was going to be some type of incel uprising. But then the director comes out and makes a musical out of the second one, and people have interpreted that as him saying, you didn't interpret my movie correctly, therefore I'm going to give you garbage for the sequel.
Yeah.
Right? I mentioned yesterday, or I think it was the day before, about how the X-Files used to love to leave stuff open-ended to let the audience interpret it the way they wanted to. And that's a dying art amongst these people, because their desire for you to interpret it the right way, because it's propaganda, supersedes their desire to make something actually artistic.
The Manic Mustache says, late as usual, but apropos to child rearing, I will bullies my daughter at home, so the schoolyard didn't affect her. Didn't get a call from the teacher because my little girl told the boy his mom drove a pickle wagon. Stay toxic, my boys. Great.
Okay.
Is that the new strat, bullying your kids?
Don't do it, guys. Don't do it.
I don't know.
I would want to wonder, I'd like to know why people want art to be interpreted such a specific way, unless it's because they believe that there's some type of ideological propaganda connected to it.
When it comes to releasing art into the wild, mm-hmm. I have always refrained from being too specific when it comes
about your
to
songs.
Writing, mm-hmm. telling people what songs are about. I firmly believe that when you offer a song to the world, mm-hmm. right, the meaning of that song that you were thinking of is no longer relevant.
Yeah.
Because people hear songs and they remind them of a time in their lives. A lot of times you'll talk to people, I hear the song and I can smell this.
Yeah.
It smells like fall because we used to listen to this when we were driving around and blah, blah, blah. Or it smells like the beach because we used to blah, it's like all these other sensory things that happen that are associated with the music. So to say that this is, your interpretation of this song, to say that that's wrong, in my opinion, you're taking something away from the listener. And I never wanted to do that. If there are times where it's like, look, that's obviously about a chick, you know what I mean? Or that's obviously about,
right.
It's like, so there you go. But when it comes to anything that's not clearly, obviously about a chick, like I don't get into saying this or that or whatever. And even when it's about a chick, I don't get specific, Well,
that's why every time Trump plays a song at a Trump rally, you get some washed up rock stars like, I was talking about you, actually.
There's a Wikipedia page for all the artists that have told him to not use their music.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that have said, like, he can't use it because he's a fascist.
Yeah,
I want
we
the
were
Trump,
talking about you.
I want the Trump administration to know that I'm perfectly fine with you using all the music that you'd like.
I think Depeche Mode did the same thing, where they didn't explicitly tell you what any of their music was about. They made the exception for the song Precious, which was like about his daughter. Was it Dave Gahan's daughter? I think it was, because like the child struggled because of his addiction issues and being raised in a turbulent household, something like that. But the rest of the music isn't given like any type of meaning to it. I want to be able to interpret Policy of Truth as whatever the hell I want it to be, and not want to know necessarily too much about what the artist thought about it.
But also sometimes the artist can be intentionally abstract on purpose to the point where it's nauseating. Like they'll like, it happens a lot more in music, where it was like when that Watermelon Sugar song came out and everyone's like, what does that mean? He's like, you'll have to find out. And it's like, that's equally as annoying when they're like making it as abstract and confusing as possible and pretending like there's some secret meaning.
There's got to be
like,
something more to it.
yeah,
right?
and you're like, okay, yeah, we get it, you're a genius. Yeah, hilarious.
Okay.
I generally don't tend to write songs that are that, abstract or whatever.
Yeah.
Usually, if you sit down and read the lyrics, you're like, yeah, I can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah, because that's how most normal people like. It's like, I have an idea, but it's just here's a new, and then sometimes we're like, oh, what if I was doing this and that? And you're like, okay, everyone knows when it happens when they see it.
So it wasn't just Sebastian Stan. Bella Ramsey was doing interviews. Now remember, The Last of Us Season 2 has dropped 30% in its Rotten Tomatoes score from the audience. So it got high marks from critics and generally high marks for the audience in Season 1. Season 2 has been off to a very, very rough start. Nobody liked the first episode, and they already, okay, skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to know a spoiler. Ready? Skip ahead 10 seconds now. They already off Joel in episode 2, and a lot of people thought they were going to carry that out through the end of the season, that they were going to make some changes to the story, and people are pissed because of how it went down. She drops an F-bomb while talking about Trump pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement because she's apparently big into climate change. She says, can I swear in this story? We're effing ourselves over. The planet will be okay. We won't be. I understand the feeling of hopelessness, and I've also felt it, but I think that a way of wrestling with that is to implement the small changes in your own life. And if the big policymakers aren't going to do anything, at least as a global community can try. And with all of these small changes we make, millions of small changes have a large impact.
Anytime an artist or media personality talks about the climate crisis, I want to do terrible things. I want to TOS violation, because it is the most ridiculous thing for people to get mad at the United States about our climate policy when India and China both have 1 billion people, and the results of those countries will totally negate anything the United States does. Until they start making significant changes, I don't want to hear it.
I mean, I just don't want to hear it at all when you should be talking about your show and not about politics. I'd rather you just didn't. I guess I kind of go back and forth. Okay, so being completely honest, I have such a horrible memory that it never stops me from liking stuff, because what happens is I put on a movie, I see Wendell Pierce, and I vaguely remember him saying something stupid. But it doesn't stop me from enjoying The Wire for the 100th time. Like, it's not going to. Like, in general, a celebrity's political opinions don't stop. In fact, if anything, it gives you it kind of makes me tip my hat to them. Like, wow, you are a fantastic artist and very stupid. Like, that's impressive. Like, I actually get a kick out of that most of the time. It doesn't bother me that artists have stupid opinions. Artists live, provably, in a very different world than you and I. They are more emotional. They are quicker to feelings because it plays into how they do their job. Not weird at all. So that doesn't bother me. The problem is pragmatically speaking, they shouldn't operate in a world assuming that everybody's going to have my horrible memory and willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, most people are like, look, that person has said crazy shit about people like me. I'm not going to be supporting them. And I get that 110%. So if Bella Ramsey wants to draw people back into watching The Last of Us Season 2 after losing the only actor that really was making it worth watching in Pedro Pascal, yes, I understand that he's overexposed in every sense of the imagination, but he is not an untalented actor. He was the one that carried the first season of the show. If she wants to draw people into it, she's going to have to do less with these types of interviews and more with just talking about the property and what you loved about it. I think that would be better.
Did you see in the article at the or near the bottom, it says her studying environmental science was because she got green pilled at a young age?
Oh my God.
Phil loves it.
Phil, are you green pilled?
I hate that stuff so much.
It's so different than red pilled, man.
Yeah, dude.
All of the real science says that the change in the temperature of the Earth is going to be maybe a couple degrees over the course of the next 100 years. So fine if you're like, okay, I want to see some changes. I want to see more sustainable stuff. Sustainability is good because oil is extremely useful. Never mind making gasoline or making fuels. Oil is used for petrochemicals. It's used for fertilizer. It's used for all sorts of things. And it's a very valuable substance. We don't need to burn it. Burning it is probably the least, the least of all ways to use it, right? It's the worst way to use it. So if we can manage to use other forms of energy to travel, to heat homes, great, awesome. I'm right there with you. I love it. But the idea that we need to destroy the United States economy so that way we can bring down our carbon usage to net zero when no countries that are coming out of basically poverty like India and like China are going to do the same. That is absurd. African countries are not going to do that. And Africa is going to have a population boom over the next 100 years. This is absolutely insane. It is stupid to even imagine.
Are you on the nuclear wave?
I love the idea of nuclear.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I mean, I drive an electric car. I got a Tesla. Or, well, I got a Jeep too, but I got, I am not against electric. I got solar on my house in New Hampshire. Like, I've got an electric car. Like, I'm totally into using alternate forms of energy generation. But that doesn't mean that we should stop using petrochemicals in the United States, because that will, first of all, destroy the economy. And second of all, it won't change one thing about the globe. Not at all.
I saw when we were going out to Hanover on Saturday, I saw a Mini Cooper with the "Left Lane is for Crime" sticker on their car, and I had to double take to make sure Phil wasn't in that car. I said, Phil, I've never seen Phil drive a Mini Cooper before. He doesn't seem like a Mini Cooper guy to me. But
so Sarah hates the idea of driving to New England overnight. Normally I do the drive overnight. And she's like, I don't want to do it overnight. I can't sleep in a car, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine. So we have to drive during the day. I am so bad at driving during the day because there is so much traffic. And there are so many idiots and so many people that just sit in the left lane, and 18-wheelers love to think, I'm going to pass this other 18-wheeler.
And they get stuck next to each other.
And then once you finally get by, right? Once you finally get by, there's like 7 miles of open highway because they had literally been fighting for so long. There's a tail 3 miles long behind them, and I'm just like, I'm going to die. There's no way I'm going to survive this. I'm going to have a heart attack.
I have ASMR for you. There's YouTube compilations of police officers pulling over left lane hogs.
Oh God, that's another thing. It's like, why is that not the most important? Why is there not a whole division of state troopers that are out there pulling people? If you're in the left lane and a cop sees you, he should be like, get out.
Yeah.
If you're not passing, if you're tracking along, or there are people that are going by you on the right, the cop should pull you over, and they should make the ticket should be so big that you're terrified of the left lane for a year.
They should be spike trapping.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
How long is the drive back home?
If it's with a passenger and stopping a couple times, that one took like 8 and a half. Like if I do it overnight, I can do it in 7.5. Yeah. Like literally, I drive to this place in Pennsylvania right before the New York border, and then I fill up the tank and then drive the rest of the way. One stop, that's it. But it's me and the girlfriend during the day. It's much slower. I got all kinds of stuff.
I used to do Texas to New York 3 times a year, 30-hour drive.
I lived in Texas for a year. I did that a couple times. Yeah.
And there's one until you hit the Appalachians, there's nothing.
Yeah. I didn't do it. Yeah, like I always stayed overnight though. I couldn't.
Yeah, I would do like Nashville usually.
Yeah, I'd do something like that. If I was driving south, I would stop in Roanoke. I'd leave late at night, stop in Roanoke, and then the next day I get up super early. Yeah. And I could make Roanoke to Texas. I get there at like 3 or 4 in the morning, but I could do that. But for some reason, I couldn't find a place that felt comfortable driving back. I had to stop.
The European mind can never comprehend.
They don't get it.
No, it's like when they talk about.
And I enjoy the road trip. I like the music. I like the Slim Jims and combos and monsters.
Combos are a uniquely road trip.
You can only find them on road trips.
Combos are great.
They're also a very straight man's food to eat. You'll never see a homosexual having combos.
Chat, fact check that. Is that true? I have no idea.
Chat will agree.
Yeah, I love. So we drive back to Michigan. In fact, we're doing that. We leave in the morning because we're going back to because we're doing wedding planning stuff. So we're going to be driving back to Michigan, and usually what that is like, it's just survive like. According to Olivia, it's just surviving Ohio, because everybody hates driving through Ohio. It's the worst. I have no prejudice against Ohio personally because I didn't grow up near Ohio. I'm from Minnesota, Michigan. Michigan has a far worse relationship with Ohio than I do. But like you talk to anyone from Pennsylvania or Michigan, and all they want to talk about is how crappy Ohio is. So
yeah,
I kind of feel bad because I know people from Ohio. They're good people. Like they didn't make the crappy flat roads and boring drive that you have to go to get through there. So I feel like there's a kind of in the same way that I slander Canadians by calling them frostbacks. I feel like there's some type of slur that needs to be come up with.
See, my friends independently came
Ohio.
up with snowbacks. I'm so glad there's.
Oh really?
Else. Yeah.
I love
I'm
frost.
so
enough.
glad there's another.
There was
Frostback's the best.
Frostback's way better than snowback.
Was that you and me on IRL, or were you gone when the no, it was you and me because it was the guy from Rumble and the guy from Canada, and I told him about Frostbacks. He laughed. I don't know if he was actually offended, but I don't think so.
He's got a great sense of humor.
All right, Shane H. Wilder. We're gonna start the super chats here, guys. Get us to a second crisis party.
Oh yeah, come on. What are you
Come
doing?
on, guys. Shane H. Wilder says, Happy Taco Tuesday, Brett, Phil, and Tate. I'm glad to see you survived last night, Phil. All of us who tried calling in laughed our asses off at the cringe. All right. I didn't watch it. I only saw some clips. Do you want to give people a breakdown
So
of what
there
happened?
was a former journalist who had left. I think she worked for ABC, and she left ABC. And I think that by journalist standards, not by alternative media, but by journalist standards, she probably was a very good journalist in that she didn't get sucked into the desire for access as a reward. She was actually trying to be a journalist. She pushed on Gavin Newsom. She pushed on Rahm Emanuel. She actually got into there was a big fight with the Biden administration with her in the Biden administration when the Biden administration was new, made news. There was one of Biden's advisors or something like that had started a relationship with a person in the press pool, and that's a no-no. And she's the one that called it out. So she's actually, as far as legacy journalists go, she's actually very good. But in the context of new media and new journalism, she's still very normie. In the after show, her and I got into a discussion about the Very Fine People hoax, and she was very much there were bad people and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, the point isn't whether or not you approve of all the people. And she was like, well, they were bad people and blah, 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 and like just essentially very normie takes.
Right.
Her and Tim got into it the whole night, right? Like,
Tim must have been in his glory.
Tim was going.
Tim loves those types of
He
episodes.
does.
Any
He
episode that people hate, Tim likely loves.
Yeah, and he was going and going, and they were arguing, and Shane and I were just like,
I mean, I love those. I'm not gonna lie, I love those episodes. So I think my favorite time is being on when Tim and Elijah argue about Israel, because then I don't have to say anything.
I mean, that's the thing. I tried a
Good
couple
work
times
when you can get it.
I tried to get to interject a couple times, but Tim was so in it. He was doing, hold on. Anytime anyone tried, he was running the show. And I'm just like, all right, man, you go, man.
We got to shout out Serge because he was getting your
well, yeah. I mean,
everything. Serge on the cameras was cooking.
I was kind of enjoying myself, and I was having fun. And I just started making faces. There was one time where I'm just like, and then there was another time where I was just like smiling at the camera, kind of like a crazy person.
So like she was like on her phone. Somebody was saying like
she was using her phone to search for things. So again,
I mean, that's what people do when they have laptops when they're on the show.
Yes, as far as normie journalists go, she came to a place that was, not really her forte. She was a little unprepared for the topics of the day. And again, she's essentially a normie journalist. So, kudos to her for coming out. It did get they got a little snippy at each other, which is kind of funny. But for being in that arena, she was not particularly cut out for that arena, or not prepared for it. So
yeah, I kind of love it. It kind of makes me laugh because look, I always thought it was weird, right? So you see the people, it's usually like culture war where people go back and forth and they get things get really heated. And it looks like they don't like each other, and then when they're done, they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that was great, high five!" Like,
Yep.
So can I get your number, dude? Let's do this
yeah,
again.
let's do this again sometime. I mean, that's the whole point, though, right? It's like behind the scenes, what you're looking
It
for.
reminds me of the videos of dogs like barking through a door, and,
and then they
move
open the door and
and
there's
they're
something
like,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
I guess, All right, guys, get us to a second crisis. I mean, Mary's not going to come back unless we get 3 crisis parties. She's going to leave, and I know you guys don't want that. You guys want Mary back, so you better get us to a 3rd crisis party, guys. Greg Duvier for $2 says, "Put a girl on." Well, we can't do that if you guys don't get us a 2nd and then a 3rd crisis
It's up
party.
to you guys.
What do you want us to do here? All right. All right. Weary Traveler says Shannon Sharpe went against what his handler said to do, and this is what happened. Like, I don't know if Shannon Sharpe has his own Harley Pasternak or something like that. I would err on the side of no, but, Hollywood is a mystery, and we will never know. I do know that those cases are becoming increasingly more difficult for people to buy into these days, just because of what happened with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and all of the Me Too stuff. Now Harvey Weinstein is going back to trial again, and it's all a mess. New Guy Don't Haze Me says, "Phil, did you have fun on last night's IRL?"
I did. It was funny. I mean, it was an easy night. I didn't have to say anything because Tim was like, "I got this." All right, go ahead, man.
Ellen Thompson
What am I gonna do? Be like, "No, I got to get in there and yell at her because you're not yelling at her the right way." Yeah.
Ellen Thompson in the chat says she called Tim a jerk. Bet some of y'all cheered. Did that happen?
Yeah, she kind of did. Because he was like, he called her a hypocrite, and so she was like, "You're kind of a jerk." So, whatever.
Okay. All right.
She's a big
Something slalom. I don't know what that is. I'm telling strong woman. I don't know what story that was in relation to. Normally, if Mary was here, I would have made like a timestamp as to when that was
I think that's
sent. But...
honorable salam. So we have a judge. And Superchats.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's sweet. Shane H. Weiler says, Sharpe needs to channel the drunken Dudley Moore version of Arthur. You're a hooker? I forgot that. I thought that was I forgot. I thought I was doing great with you. I don't know what that's in reference to, but perhaps he should. I've heard it both ways. Says Phil, thoughts on last night? Do you have any concluding thoughts? When was the last time there was an episode like this?
Multiple times we told her that she should come back. I hope she comes back. I text Lisa. I was like, "You gotta have her back." It was great. I don't know if she's going to come back.
So
but,
did she like recently start going off and doing her own independent journalism?
I don't know how recently. In the past couple of years, I think. I'm not sure how recently, but
wait, so he says Tim told her to stop being emotional. I really wish he had. Wait, did he actually say that?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Hold on, I'm gonna make a note just in case Olivia says something tonight.
I don't think he actually said calm down, but he should have.
Did he say you're acting like your mother?
That would have been hilarious.
Oh, man.
He's like, look, calm down.
Yeah.
You're starting to act like your mother.
Yeah.
It's like Thanksgiving dinner all over again. All right. AI Shih Tzu says, guys, as Tim has a kid and close to 40, he has 2 choices. Either get super into World War II history or smoking meats. Which would you recommend and why?
I mean, look, the fact
that's-
of the matter is that doesn't really apply to Tim because he's got the business that he's running here. You know, the meme is that dads have to fill the time and stuff. So.
I think he's already into both of those things anyway.
I don't think he actually smokes meats himself.
Right.
He can have like really good smoked meats flown in if he wants
could.
to.
Yeah.
From Guatemala or from
yeah.
South America if you wanted to, from Brazil.
I mean, actually, what would be really funny is if Tim got really into like Civil War reenactment.
That would be awesome.
And like went and did. I mean, we're like prime for it where we're located here. He could go to actual battlefields.
He could.
And he could afford like only the most authentic costume.
Or culture war could just turn into reenactment. So it'd be like whoever wins the actual battle gets to win the episode.
Yeah. I feel like you need to. It's kind of like when they talk about men thinking about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Like you have to have your own version of that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like not everybody's going to think about the Roman Empire, but guys are going to have that thing that they think about. It's kind of like when they talk about every guy thinks about saving people like in a like terrorists on a plane.
Yeah.
Or like in a store. They want to stop the attacker or stop the terrorist. Every guy thinks about that. At least every guy that I've ever met. At least, you know, they walk into stores, they're like, that'd be awesome.
That would be sick.
You know, it's like Mark Wahlberg talking about it. You know, he could have stopped him on 9/11 if he'd just been on that plane.
I believe him, too. I believe him.
Maybe.
Smoke. Greg Duvier said smoke meat from the Congo.
Look, there are large tariffs in place in the Congo. We can't.
Yeah.
They can't import stuff from us, and we can't import anything from them.
The Congo diplomat came in, no tie, no nothing.
Yeah.
What do you think was going to happen?
Yeah. And look, plus with US aid dead, like there's just no way to funnel money for regime change in the Congo.
Also, do we want to eat meats from the Congo? Do
Yeah,
we know
I
what kind
don't
of
know.
meat?
Like, I don't know what
Okay,
type
let's not
of...
go there.
Yeah. All right, Zach Yandel says, the CCP police in America intimidating immigrants.
Yes, that's happened.
Arsenal Man says, I guess that explains why Nick Fuentes likes Ye.
That, you know, that's exactly what I thought. I was like Ye puts that out. Nick calls him up, bro. Or Nick calls up Ye, bro.
It's so weird. We did that segment, and I don't even know what to think about it. I just think of the internet now as a place where it just gets increasingly worse, and you have to say crazier and crazier shit if you want people to pay attention to you.
I'm just not going to think of it anymore.
It's like Kanye, and it's like him and Bianca going out in increasingly less clothes until she's just wearing nothing.
She's just naked. Until I kind of half expected like at one point she has to walk upside down naked with her legs spread just for a total degradation. Like
it's coming.
Shane H. Wilder says
no, they're divorced.
Did they? I don't think they actually got divorced.
I think they're separated.
They're separated.
Oh,
I don't think they got divorced.
It's like the prequel for divorce.
Shane H. Wilder says, did Ye sample Elvis's Kissing Cousins for the track? That you'd have to ask him. Perhaps so. Hey, Brett. This is from Zach Yandel. Brett, have you considered having on John Eldridge? We don't have guests on ever anymore. This is not something we're doing right now. That would be cool, but it's expensive to have guests on the show because we don't do Zoom calls or anything like that. So people have to be flown out, and then it's a whole thing. We have Aiden on because Aiden lives in the area, or not in the area, but he drives down from PA to come help out sometimes.
PA's where in PA is he? Actually, never mind. That's not.
Yeah, I think he's 3 or 4 hours away. Serenko Productions says, barking. I didn't know Andrew Tate was a furry. There was a video that was going viral where he's he's curling and then smokes hookah and then drinks coffee.
I saw that. It's just so ridiculous.
I'm picturing now 10-year-olds before going to school doing this. I guess they don't have the hookah, but they have candy cigarettes.
Yeah.
If that's still a thing.
There's a 12-year-old on Instagram that does he gets the eggs and gets the raw milk and he's like, this is fuel for the body. But he has a little high-pitched voice.
So he's
nice.
he's building up his career as an influencer
Whatever,
now.
yeah, exactly.
Fenris, I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Fenry? Is the S silent? Fenris Rowantree. First super chat. For reference, I'm 29. Yes. Brett, butterscotch is amazing. No, it's not. Nobody actually likes butterscotch.
You're a butterscotch hater?
I'm anti butter. I'm not actually just, not anti butterscotch. I'm anti-liking butterscotch. I don't just have a problem with butterscotch as a whole. I have a problem with people liking butterscotch.
I love butterscotch. I have the taste of an 80-year-old.
Says you should try butterscotch pudding if you don't like the candies.
You
All right.
should.
I'll tell you what. If I can find that somewhere, maybe I will give it a shot. But there's I actually don't have strong feelings about butterscotch. I'm just bullshitting right now. I don't think about butterscotch.
I think about it too much.
I do like the Werthers with apple in the middle.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Only old people have them. They have a plug. I don't know.
No, I bought them on Amazon. You have to it's like the strawberry ones.
Well, that old people are not getting them from Amazon.
Where are they
it's like the watermelon ones. You get them at the dollar store now.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The watermelon ones that only your grandma has.
Jelly inside.
Yeah. It's they have some old person dealer that they have to get them from.
They have them at They have them at the dentist, and then they have them if you go to a old Baptist church, they always have them on the counter.
Candy at the dentist seems counterintuitive to me.
Oh, they give you a little snack on the way.
So you
out.
actually know what it is. It's a business model, right? They're
It
like,
is.
oh,
Yeah.
have a little sugar on the way out to ensure
don't
that
brush
you come
when you, or
back.
don't eat when you get home. That's
See
actually,
you soon.
It actually seals it.
In the chat, somebody says, what did I say? Said, down with big butterscotch. Tell me about it, man.
Here we
Along
go.
there with the military-industrial complex is the butterscotch industrial complex.
They're standing on the shoulders of giants. You don't even realize it. What butterscotch has done for this country.
Deep South EDC says, hi, Brett, Phil, and New Guy. Great show today.
Hi.
He's not New Guy. He's Tate, not Andrew
I
Tate.
can go by new guy if I have to.
He's not Andrew Tate.
FNG.
FNG, yeah.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says, dude, I want Trump to walk out to Never Sorry. That would be the perfect All That Remains track
It
for
would be
him.
sick.
Tell me I'm wrong.
It would be sick.
We got to make this happen somehow.
That would be awesome.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says, combos. Everybody knows it's corn nuts, beef jerky, sausage biscuits, and Dr. Pepper on the road.
Dude, and McDonald's does the $1. You buy a sausage biscuit, you win for $1. Oh, I can taste the interstate just thinking about it.
It's like the meme where it's like all they show you is like the ugly like interstate off ramps where it's like 10,000 businesses and like weirdo nutty leftists use that as like saying look at how awful America is, but it's just like this one little thoroughfare right off the
From
main
a
road.
specific direction.
They get it at like high fog,
Yeah.
so it looks like
Yeah.
there's smog everywhere.
And I see that, I'm like, oh, there's a Logan's there? I didn't
Oh,
know that.
let's go.
Let's go.
Buc-ee's, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yep.
On tour, those places are
Okay.
heaven.
Oh, I bet.
Can I ask a question to the chat? I was actually gonna. I feel kind of ashamed that I don't know the answer to this. I know that people claim there's no such thing as stupid. There's no stupid question. What are the weigh station fors on the freeway?
Pardon me?
What are the weigh stations for on the
truck
freeway?
To weigh the
trucks,
weigh
but I'm-
trucks?
Like, is there like what is the municipal purpose of that?
So the weight of a truck, if you have too many trucks that are too heavy, you actually damage the roads over time.
So it's literally to like. So if they weigh in and it's too high, they have to wait.
They might find them,
Or send them
they
another
might
direction?
actually make another truck come and pull some stuff off. I'm not sure exactly the procedure, and I think the procedure probably is different depending on how much, where they are, and stuff. But it is about wear and tear on the actual roads.
Okay.
That's also like sometimes you'll see an oversized load sign on a truck that's not even like hanging over the lanes.
Yeah.
That's just because they have a ton of weight on it.
Yeah.
It just felt like something I should know the answer to.
Well, now
I mean, you can weigh your car there if you just
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're curious.
Cool. All right. Omega Red Fan says driving in the left lane is like playing an F-Zero virtual reality simulator.
So true.
You know what? When we're driving, we're going to be mostly in the left lane, but also like most of that Ohio drive or most of the Pennsylvania drive, there's like no cars around.
Look, if you're going to be in the left lane, pay attention to what's behind you, and if someone comes up on your ass faster than you want to go, just move over for them. Just let them go and then get back in the left lane. But staying in the left lane and not allowing people to pass is antisocial behavior. It's literally antisocial behavior. Like, there are rules on the road, and when you're there, well, I'm already speeding because I'm doing 69, and so if you want to go faster than me, then you're bad, but I'm fine for speeding. No, you're garbage. Get out of the way.
It's the same class of people that don't put their shopping carts back. It's just subhuman, I would argue.
Mary would disagree with you on that.
She doesn't put her shopping cart back?
Mary could write a whole treatise on why she won't put her shopping cart away.
What? This is like the basic litmus test of society.
There was that was like
Mary's a
something,
woman.
that was a thing that Tim would do when people would get hired here. He would ask them about putting the shopping cart back.
Yeah.
I do put my shopping cart back, but honestly, like women, I don't expect the same thing from women that I do from men.
It's true.
I don't hold women to the same standard that I hold men, because men and women are different.
Fair
So-
enough. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but still, put your cart back.
Put your cart back.
Guys, put your cart back.
All of you,
Put your cart back or else.
Women.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hold, please. There we go. Trump dance.
Oh, is that Baron Trump?
Yes.
Oh, I just realized that.
That's the clip
suitcase.
from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Mary, so I had to. Mary's like, can you put this remix song of Baron Trump and like make it into a crisis party? So took that song, added some explosions and clips of
Perfect.
Ian and Phil.
I was so disappointed when I found out he doesn't have the Slovenian accent anymore.
Oh, no.
I was so hoping he'd still have it.
All right. Also, by the way, Mary she has admitted on the show that she does put her cart back, but she just likes to mess with you people just because people had such strong reactions.
I don't know how to believe a take. You say you actually don't care about butterscotch. She's not, one way or the other on the carts. Like, I don't know what to believe.
We live in such a relativist society these days.
So
nothing's real anymore. Weary Traveler says, did someone say Israel? Yeah. Tim and Elijah whenever they're on the show together.
Yeah.
And I'm here.
Or the chat.
Yeah.
That's all the chat says.
He also says, why does it matter where the missiles came from? He's saying Tim said that. But Weary Traveler is not having the breakdown that Weary Traveler had was that last Thursday, Phil? Or was that 2 Thursdays ago?
I don't remember, but he had a day.
And Weary Traveler, I hope you're having a good day today.
He is weary.
Hug your loved ones and you'll be okay. Shane H. Wilder says, all I will say is that chick did all the memes last night. I can't even meme episode as it would be reposting the entire show. Wow, it really was that bad.
A lot of content.
I mean, I don't know if it was bad, but it was a thing. It happened.
I also feel like, okay, so I'm going to be honest, like, I don't like watching podcasts.
Right.
Like, being on a podcast is different than watching a podcast. I like watching retrospectives and, like, long-form content about, like, movies and TV, but I don't watch a lot of, like, people talking about it in a group.
It needs to have the Subway Surfer under it for me to be able to pay attention
I'm kind of saying the opposite. Like, I watch, like, the long-form content. It's got lots of visuals. It's one person with a whole topic about something. That's not the same as like short form content that needs the Subway Surfer under it just to keep
like
your
60 seconds. I'm like, all right.
But with podcasts, it's like I usually subscribe to certain channels for like one person's opinion on something.
Right.
The second it becomes like a long form discussion between people, that's different than like being part of a panel.
Right.
I guess that's just me. But like I would have probably been way happier being on that panel than watching that panel last night. That would be my guess. Greg Duvier, yes. Smoked meat from the Gongo. Not on my watch. It's going to cost you a fortune to bring that into the country. Alvin McGoth says, Brett's natural predator is the humble pierogi. I will never eat a pierogi. You can't make me. Never in my lifetime. You guys like pierogies?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just not one of those foods that gets brought up a lot as something where somebody's like, what's your favorite food? Like, not many people say pierogies.
Yeah, it's just so neutral. It's just a very neutral food.
Pete Donovan says, Phil, all that remains confirmed as the headliner for Gongo Aid?
No, there are sanctions, and we're not allowed. We can't go to the
The Gongo Agency for International Development sounds even more sinister.
I think it could
than
be
the
like
U.S.
Gates. I think it'd be like when Metallica played in the Soviet Union. It'd be the same thing. It would just change Gongolese society forever.
They would still be calling back to it this day.
Yeah.
Like 20 years from now, they'll be showing their kids pictures from that day.
They put down their arms and just get after it.
Holy crap. GAIDS, yeah. The Gongo Agency for International Development. The real question is, what's John Bolton doing? We could send him over to run the...
He has a good track record.
He wants to bomb the Gongo.
He has a great track record.
Well, that's good. Put him in charge of the Gongo Aid, and then he'll be less likely to bomb himself.
Yeah. Fair enough.
He'll have to be trying to export the bombing to here this time, and that's just bad. We need Alad's thoughts on this.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Alad wants to bomb.
Nuclear hot take.
Shane H. Wilder says, I thought old people only cared about those strawberry candies and Necco wafers for some reason. Why Necco wafers? They're just candy Tums.
I hate Necco wafers.
I don't know if I've ever actually eaten a Necco
wafer.
Terrible.
They're in like the little package, right?
Yeah.
The little
Dusty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those things.
Hate them.
Weary Traveler. Mary not putting her cart back just proved we should never take anything she says seriously again. You should take what she says very seriously. And if you want to hear more of her opinions, you're going to have to get us to a third crisis party, guys. I mean, come on.
It's true.
Shane H. Wilder says, people drive 69. Are they elderly or just lost?
They're lost in life. They're searching for something.
they set their cruise control to 69 every time. They never push it
Yeah.
to 70. 5 over, 5 under.
Yeah.
Rapscallion, hold on, let me pull it back up here. Here's to the crisis party. Missed the new guy's first introduction a few shows ago. Now I know he likes butterscotch. I'll call him Butters for now.
I'll take that. That's
Okay.
a good name.
Well, I mean, like, okay, but butterscotch can't be like your favorite candy, though.
No, it's up there though. It's up there. Yeah. Smarties, that's my go-to. Damn. Like we used to snort the Smarties in elementary school. Oh, dude, yeah, you can rush off of that.
So, like, you took some pixie sticks straight to the brain.
Yeah. Well, those are like those kids were off their rocker. They need help. But yeah, Smarties, that's like conventional. They started cutting it with fentanyl, so we couldn't.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. They gotta test your Smarties,
You
everyone.
wouldn't last a minute in the hell I came.
Yeah, test your Smarties, guys.
Imagine like your parents get the home drug testing kit and they're like, and it comes back as Smarties.
They cut this with pixie dust. You're trying to kill me.
It doesn't say like no reaction. It comes back as Smarties on the test, and the parents are like, damn.
Yeah.
I was actually pointing out when I was doing the video earlier about I Know What You Did Last Summer. In the 1997 I Know What You Did Last Summer, there's like this. So after the year of them hitting the dude with the car, and then they think they killed this dude and they're all miserable, her mom's like, are you on drugs? I'm like, these days they would ask to put her on drugs. They would
Right.
be like, you're depressed, let's put you on drugs.
Do you need drugs?
Do you need drugs? Yeah. Julie needs some Prozac.
I mean,
all right. Gordon Shumway says, anyone who has ever been in the military will always agree that FNG is a better than being a G called Cherry. What?
what?
FNG is a better than being G called Cherry.
I think
Like the G was unintentional.
Yeah, I think he just meant being called Cherry.
The whole thing was a mess.
Yep. Clean up those typing fingers there.
Cherry, yeah,
like,
it was alarming.
You guys are hurting it because, like, I'm already horrible at reading. So having me be horrible at reading and you being horrible at typing. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Keep it going, because if you guys are all typing perfectly and then I'm just reading horribly, then I'm like even worse than I already am. So it's better that you actually type unintelligible slop. So at least when I screw it up, the only people that will think poorly of me necessarily are the ones listening who can't see that what you wrote is actually also unintelligible. It sucks not being able to read well. My nightmare would be like, Brett, do IRL and then read these articles. I'd be like, Phil, it's up. It's on to you. You're gonna have to
do
read.
what I can.
All right. AI Shih Tzu says the left lane is for crying. That's what I do when cars jump in front of my 18-wheeler climbing a hill and I'm going 10 over, forcing me to drop to 40. That was you I did that too? Holy
Someone said in the chat too, snorting fun dip. Because that's nice because it comes with the key already, like the little
little bump key.
Yeah. It's pre-installed. Yeah, it's great.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Pat the plumber says Phil's reaction when Tim asked the breakfast. Oh, did they ask the
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I would probably fail that test. If I didn't know what it was, I probably would have failed that test.
Really?
So Phil, do you want to tell everybody, for those who might not know what that is?
The question is, how would you feel if you didn't have breakfast yesterday?
Yeah.
And it's a what's it, propositional? I forget the what it is, but the point is, if you are a low IQ person, the answer generally tends to be, but I did have breakfast. A propositional hypothetical. And if you're an intelligent person, you say, well, if I didn't have breakfast, I would probably feel hungry, or I would be crabby, or whatever the results of not having breakfast for you tend to be. I'd have a grumbly stomach all day. I'd have a sore stomach, whatever. And she said her first response was, well, I did have breakfast, but I guess I would feel blah, blah, blah. So it was like, it took her a second, and I was like, whoa! And he's actually very kind to her, because he gave her a C+ because she covered for herself.
Right.
I definitely would have probably failed that question.
Yeah?
I guess I think about it as like
Conditional hypothetical. Thank you.
the way I see it is like I guess if you're doing a podcast, you're going to be kind of hit with multiple hypotheticals, and hypothetical is a way of framing arguments and discussions. I feel like more people, if that question was put written to paper on a test, they would get it right.
Right.
Whereas in a conversation, you're looking to find some middle ground of truth, and you're like, pragmatically, that's a stupid question because I did, but I get the point that, look, I'm low IQ. What can I say? But I feel like I would have just been like, I'm not entertaining this stupid hypothetical. Like, but now I know, so I can come off smarter than I am.
Like, I would feel full.
I would
actually.
feel truly awful.
I'd feel great, actually.
Yep.
Just throw them off their game.
All right. Hold on. Where did I just lose it there? Gordon Shumway, FNG. After hearing that Mary physically abused Brett, does it not surprise you Mary doesn't put her shopping cart back?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is I was having trouble finding the studio, but I heard weeping and like banging noises, and I heard Brett screaming, and I realized this was happening. And she was, there was a lot of bruises on Brett. I feel really bad for him.
Look, the makeup covers it up pretty effectively.
The makeup team here does an excellent
I'm
job.
gonna start wearing long sleeve shirts every day and going like this.
Like a ski mask.
Phone books just randomly sitting around. That would be great. Like, Mary just has 2 phone books for no reason over by her. She's like, I don't even know what these things are. All right, God, we're getting dangerously close. I know you guys don't want this show to exist without Mary. I know you don't want to listen to me every day, so you better get us to the third crisis party.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Fifi Gigantor. How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast yesterday? Look, why would you ask that question? That's stupid. I did have breakfast yesterday.
I had breakfast, so
like,
I don't understand.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Carnell says, Brett, can you somehow remix a chopped and screwed version of the crisis party to throw Mary off when she dances? Actually, that would be kind of sick. To get like a Dirty South remix of it. I could do that.
Change the time signature.
I could do that. All right. Pete Donovan says the roasted garlic pierogies from Wegmans are best. There are Wegmans around here, but I've never, or at least I haven't been to one in a very long time. But there are Wegmans around here. I do not shop at Wegmans though. Mr. PKW012. Thoughts on Oblivion Remastered? It released today. I saw something about it, but I don't know anything about it. I apologize. I do apologize. Weary Traveler says Reese's Cup, Almond Snickers, and Original Skittles, top 3 candies. Top 3 candies.
The best candy going is any of the holiday versions of a Reese's peanut butter cup. So the eggs, the Christmas trees, the pumpkins, because the peanut butter to chocolate ratio is perfect.
The Easter egg ones hit.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
The thing for me is like, I'm not here to rate candy, but I will tell you this. If I was smart, I would eat chocolate rather than what I usually eat, which is like hyper sugary candy. So I love Airheads Bites. The problem is like with chocolate, you kind of hit an end point and you're like, that's too decadent, I'm done. With like pure sugar candy, I can just keep going and keep going. So I have to either have some or a bunch or none at all. Right now I'm in a not at all phase, but I definitely then eventually I break my, I break my fast and then I start having some again. It's not good. All right, we are almost done, Phil.
Yeah, I've got IRL tonight.
All right. So. Values in You says, Brett, are you ready for Tron Ares? And is it true there is a Disney ride? I don't know if there's a Disney ride. I've only seen the first Tron. I never saw the sequel, and it wasn't really my thing. But I mean, I've seen some pretty good thoughts about it. People seem excited about it.
So Tron Legacy is an absolutely phenomenal movie.
I love
it.
it.
I love it. And the soundtrack is
Daft
all
Punk?
Daft Punk, and I love that too.
Yeah, I still listen to it.
There's one more for Phil here before he goes. High Voltage says, Phil, what did you think about the original lineup of Black Sabbath performing their final show this summer in Birmingham?
I mean, cool. Ozzy's got Parkinson's, if I understand correctly. So there is not a lot of performance left in him. So if he could, get that, get that under his belt and kind of ride off into the sunset before it gets too bad. Good for him. They had a massively successful career that seemed eternal. They started in the 60s, and that was 60 years ago or whatever. So good for them.
All right. Do you want to let everybody know that we can find you?
Yes, I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. Our new record is called Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, Deezer, and YouTube. And The Left Lane is for crime.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Cord in the chat says Brett is breaking fat. Cord likes to make sure to humble me every day. That's okay, though. I appreciate it, buddy. Matt Kelly says, oh, no, let me, I'm going to go back up here. We're going to get through all of these. Don't worry, guys. Your Phil chat should be done, though, because Phil is on his way out. Omega Red Fan sent us $2 with like it looks like a suitcase. I guess that's he lost his suitcase.
My suitcase.
Likes his suitcase. Shane H. Wilder says, did anyone ever see the parody movie Shriek? If you know what you did last Friday, the late 90s parody of the late 90s slashers. I did not see that. I've also only seen the first 2 Scary Movies. I've never seen the rest of the Scary movies. But, they're making Scary Movie 6, so that's coming out like next year. They're also making a new Friday movie, like a sequel to like whatever Friday movie was last.
They're doing a new Final Destination, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Whole generation of people who won't, drive behind lumber.
Trucks.
Yeah.
It's a good year for people like getting scared.
The thing is, though, is that stuff doesn't bother me, and I'll tell you why. It's the same thing. So later, my good man. Olivia is not a fan of flying.
Right.
I get it. The thing is, though, is like I'm kind of okay with like cause of death that's out of my control.
Okay.
Like at that point you've surrendered yourself. I'm saying like there's like in a car there's practically something you can do to avoid an accident. Now not always, somebody might just hit you head on, but you have a modicum of control. Like in a plane you don't really have much of a modicum of control. And even then, like in a car you kind of have the ability to swerve, but let's face it, if a bunch of lumber is going to fall out of the back of a truck and impale you, like, God had it in for you anyways.
That's why I always reject when these aviation heads are like, oh, flying's actually much safer than driving. I'm like, maybe for you, but for me, I have a pretty good success rate driving. I'm not dead, so
there you go.
Yeah.
So you know what? I just say take it what it is. If I die in a plane crash, that sucks, but there was nothing I could have done about it at the time. Yeah. Or it's like it's like when an elevator starts falling and you're like, do I jump or do I lay down on the ground?
Right, yeah, because if you jump at the right time,
like theoretically, you're not going to.
Like if a plane's crashing, the door's open, you just step out right when it crashes, and then you're good.
I don't think that works.
Let's try it. We'll test it tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like infinite safeguards on elevators to like prevent that stuff from happening. Yeah. All right. Let me go back up here. Gordon Shumway says, sorry, super chats don't autofill while I'm typing. It looks like gibberish. Half the time I spend going back and cleaning up the errors. I miss shit sometimes. Don't worry, bro. So one of my favorite things to do is like, I don't have the attention span to like sit down and write out long form reviews for stuff, but I'll haphazardly write a review for a show or something on X and then edit it 37 times once I catch the errors. I wish I was a little bit more organized and had a better sense of organization, but I do not. That is a problem of mine. So don't worry about those errors. It's all good.
That's how geniuses operate. Just get it out on paper.
Exactly. Matt Kelly says, thanks for the fun show, Brett, Phil, and Butters. Butters is about to stick, bro.
Butters.
It's going to stick. All right. Shane H. Wilder says, holiday Reese's are lit. Avoid the 1 pound Reese's. The chocolate to peanut butter ratio is all effed up. Also, prayers for safe travels, Brett. Thank you.
Have you done the make your own Reese's cup and you drop the chocolate lid on top after you've done your filling?
That's a thing?
Dude, it's wild. They have like a special like socket.
We last summer we were back home in Minnesota and I took Olivia to the Mall of America and we went to the M&M store, and she made custom M&Ms that said like "End the Fed," and then the second one, she went to make another one. I don't even remember what it said, but like it wouldn't let her make the message. So like "End the Fed" was where they drew the line.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you can't have like anti-government M&Ms.
Probably got up to Powell, and he's like, cut that out.
Probably true.
Yeah.
All right. Pete Donovan says, in case there's no Friday show, tell Mary that I will be eating beef burritos from Taco Bell for the solemnity of Easter Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna hang out because we need like one more super chat to get like that third. Like I said, Mary won't be coming back. There definitely won't be a show on Friday if we don't get the third crisis party. Come on, guys. I know you guys do not want this show to just be me yapping every day for... I don't think I could do the show for 2 hours by myself, but I bet I could do an hour by myself.
This does
every
feel like
day.
the old charity drives where they're like just sitting around and they're like,
well, you know, they want Mary back. I know that
they really want Mary back.
I know they don't want
Well,
to be
we
stuck
think
with
they
me.
want Mary back, but we haven't seen the third crisis party, so
Apparently they don't care.
maybe
All
they
right.
don't want her back.
All right, we will do the outro then, guys. But hit the like button on this video, guys, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed to the show already. Again, I do not know necessarily whether there will be a show on Friday. It is still up in the air. I will be out of town, but if there does, it will be a good one. I have no doubt. But remember, hit the like button, share the video, and my friend, we're gonna call you Butters now.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
My name is Butters. I'm a producer here at Timcast. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. That's all I got.
Should be Butters Brown.
I think so. Yeah, Butters Brown. That works. It's alliteration.
All right, we're going to go through these last super chats here. Shane Wilder says, one more time. Weary Traveler says, I will send money for the crisis party like Jesus.
All right.
DC&C sent us 99, I guess, whatever, is that British money? You know, like whatever, like colonialist money with the Queen.
We're rejoining the Commonwealth, apparently, so we better get used to it.
With a poop emoji. Grin says, Phil, thank you for smiling while Tara yapped. I will pass that message along. And Gordon Shumway says, let's gong go? Well, yeah.
Let's gong go.
Of course,
Why
let's
not?
gong go. Guys, again, there will be no show on Wednesday or Thursday. Friday is up in the air. Stay tuned to the channel. We will have clips coming out. It is always great when you go and check out the segments. It helps us, you know, stay up there in the algorithm, and then we will keep you updated with, I'm guessing, community notes to let you guys know what is going on. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on Instagram and on all those platforms. Normally 5 days a week, but Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. Again, tune in on Friday. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party. We will be back with another episode soon. Stay tuned for updates. See y'all then. Later, guys. There it is. Put a girl on. There, dance.
Oh, yeah. This one feels good.
Like that one particularly?
Yeah.
All right.
You only have so many moves you can do in a chair.
Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you soon with a new episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.